All right, welcome to SNC Podcast episode 10. And today we have the guys from Covenant Comics, which are part of our platform. So introduce yourselves and whatnot.
So, my name is JD Gonzalez, and this is
Jesse Chisholm.
Yeah, we're from Covenant Comics.
Okay. So which one's the artist and writer?
Yeah, we're both not artists. We're both writers. We're artists in the form of writing.
Yeah. What got you into making comics?
I'm sorry?
What got you into making comics?
I think it was just we've both been to comics like forever, and we didn't really know much about the indie comic scene until we actually got into it. It was just like this idea of we really liked comic books, we liked superheroes, we just like everything about that type of topic. And so we just kind of came up with our own characters, and and that was pretty much it.
Oh. Okay.
Just kind of watching TV shows and stuff back in the day. Stuff like Batman and stuff probably definitely helped.
Yeah.
And then eventually buying our first comics. I don't know about his, but mine, I want to say my first comic was like a Sonic comic, and I got it from my sister-in-law when I was like super young. But it just takes one to just kind of start it off, be like, wow, this is so much better than reading a book.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And so I started a very expensive collection.
Yeah.
And also writing.
I think my first comic book, I was super into Hellboy. What's his name? Ghost Rider. I was super into Ghost Rider when I was a kid, and I still am. I love Ghost Rider, but
even
I don't know what year it was. It was it was definitely around that time. And that when I was younger, that was a good movie, but like looking back, like that is such a cringy movie. Anyways, my first comic was a Ghost Rider comic, and I was collecting like maybe 5 at the time. And then my mom looked at it, and on the cover, on one of the covers, it had 666 on it, and so she threw them all away. And then years later, I started collecting again. So yeah.
That's you think throwing away got you into it?
Definitely, dude. You can't.
Rebel.
Rebel. Yeah.
What attracts you to like reading comics? Like, some people are attracted to like the art or like the story. Like, what attracts you?
First, for me, I wasn't entirely great at reading. I was like real bad at English and stuff like that. My mom was always hounding me for stuff like that. Like, you should read more, like pick up a book and what have you. But
we're losing him.
But you can also visualize. You can see like the amazing detail and stuff like that. You can see someone's imagination put on paper.
Yeah.
And it was just it was more appealing than a book to me, and that's what like started to help me get to read more and expand vocabulary. It helped as a kid, But yeah, that's probably what helped me start reading and stuff like that. It was more so the visualization of like just imaginations and stuff like that, and how cool that was.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's like the same thing. I liked comics because, like, for the same reason, I wasn't a very imaginative kid. I would read a book and I'd just get lost. I'd just be like, these are just words. But then, like, when I picked up comic books, it was a whole new world where it was like these characters that expanded like 80 years now were just there, and I could see them in this adventure that they were on. And I think that first story that I actually picked up when I started collecting again was Scott Snyder's and Greg Capullo's New 52 of Batman.
Greg Capullo.
And just the combination of, dude, I love Greg Capullo and I love Scott Snyder. He gave me.
I was gonna say he actually lived like maybe like a mile from where I lived in New York, and I actually met the president of a local bank, and his mom was like best friends with Greg Capullo, because he actually he drew up a custom Joker poster for her husband and signed it, the Joker. And he actually and it's so cool too, because she was gonna pay him for it, and he was like, "What are you talking about? This is just a gift. Take it." And I was like, "That's such a really cool story." Yeah, he lived so I lived in Guilderland, New York. He lived in Altamont.
Wow, that's insane. That's crazy.
I'm jealous.
That's literally my favorite artist. Like obviously there's Jim Lee and there's Alex Ross, but for me, like that was when I got into comics, was him and Scott Snyder's run on Batman. And so that's what I was saying, like they got me into comics again because of his storytelling and his art. It was like the combination of just them coming together, and I think that's why I appreciate comics so much, especially now making comics. It's like a team. It's a team effort, So you got like guys like us who write, and then you have another guy that comes and pencils, and other guys that inks, got another guys that colors, and then letters and edits and the whole thing. And it's like it's a team effort, and that's what I think that I appreciate so much about it, So I don't know if that answers your question.
That's actually pretty cool too, because one of the ways that they tell you to learn a new language is after you start learning a few of the words so you can kind of understand it. They tell you to read comic books because it's like the nice medium. Instead of trying to open up a novel and read through it, you see what it's like to talk in conversation in a comic, or like to narrate or something like that, as opposed to like writing a book. Like that's not the same way you would communicate with people.
I'll start reading some like French and Japanese comics now.
That's actually like I was learning Japanese for like 6 to 8 months, to the point where I could have like small little conversations with this little. I went to like a Japanese restaurant in LA, and I was talking to someone there, and I was trying to confirm with her. I was trying to figure out how to say chicken, because I learned how to say meat and I learned how to say bird and stuff like that, but I couldn't figure out how to say chicken. And she goes, "Oh, it's a nekutori," and I was like, "Doesn't that mean like meat bird?" And she's like, "Yeah, chicken." And I was like, "What?" So it's literally like bird meat is like what chicken is.
That's so funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I started watching One Piece the other day with my brother, because he's on episode like 800 and something, and that just like listening to it periodically, I just pick up some of the phrases that they're saying, and now I can tell, like, just because I know some of the words, now I know how it's used in context. Like if I was going to say like, "Where are you?" I could just be like, "Dokuda." I could just like, because I already knew some of the words in that. That I was able to put that together. And now I'm like, oh, that's how it's used in conversation. And that's why things like mangas for Japanese and obviously comic books and other languages are good for that. It's like a shortcut for learning conversations without having to talk to somebody.
Yeah, that's super neat. I never knew that. That's really cool. That's super cool.
So you're currently running a Kickstarter?
Yes, we are running a Kickstarter. It went live October 1st. And it's going to run for the whole month of October.
Cool. What's the comic?
It's for our comic Crossbones. So it's actually on the second issue right now. And so for the Kickstarter, it's the Kickstarter's for both the first and the second issue.
For printing or for paying for services?
No, it's for the printing. Yeah. Everything else is already finished.
So if you were gonna give a quick little elevator pitch on Crossbones, what would you put out there?
Everyone always asks me that, and I'm like, dude, it is so complex. I don't know. And so basically, it's about a cartel member who's named Crossbones, and then he's inevitably betrayed by those in the cartel. He dies, and then comes back to life, and then he's on this type of road to redemption because of things, in the story I'm not going to give away. So he's on this road to redemption. Basically, I like to think of it as like a redemption story. And the thing that I personally like to relate it to is like, I mean, I've never killed somebody. I mean, you've never killed somebody, but we can all relate to the fact that we've all kind of messed up in life. We're all kind of messed up in a way.
I like how you tried to convince everyone. You're like, I definitely haven't killed you.
Yeah, I'm not a murderer or anything, like, right? Right.
Back me up, man.
Yeah, back me up. But it's like we can all relate to screwing up in life, and I think that a good redemption story is something that we can all to, and so that's something that I can personally relate to, and that's something that I personally really love about the series, because it's not like just about some guy, like, oh, he's just a do-gooder and this and that, but he's actually a messed up human being who's trying to be better.
Yeah. There's like I can't remember what book it is, but there's a book that talks about like the various story arcs, and the redemption one is just one that people gravitate towards. It's definitely a very powerful one, because everyone messes up and everyone wants to believe that they can redeem themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people say they dislike Superman, because it's like he's basically a god, and like, how am I supposed to relate to a god, And so I think that's why people read certain stories, because it's like, or even watch movies or watch TV shows, because it's like, I can relate to this character,
Yeah, well, did you ever see the Stan Lee video where he talked about how he was trying to make Spider-Man and he got turned down the first time?
Yeah.
He even mentions, like, before that time, most superheroes were just, gods. Like, they didn't have any life problems. And when Spider-Man came out, so many people gravitated towards it because it was a real person who just happened to be a superhero. It's like that's what people like. It's like, oh, he has to do all this crazy stuff and he's a real person.
Yeah, literally. I think it's true. I mean, when you look at Spider-Man, it's different from, Iron Man, because, like, Iron Man is a normal guy, but he's like, he's a brilliant billionaire.
Playboy billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know.
Greg, you got the next one.
All right. Where do you see yourself going with Covenant Comics in like 5 to 10 years?
Want to take that one?
Sure. We've kind of planned out our individual stories. Mine's Ether, my character's Ether. His is Crossbones, obviously. We've kind of planned out where they're supposed to go. Milestones are supposed to reach, crossovers and stuff like that. Company-wise, we do want to grow. We want to get more of like the legal stuff done. We expect to have that done like within the next 5 years and what have you. We're also trying to expand and like kind of grab more artists or maybe new writers and stuff like that. Not necessarily for our universe, like to go in with the Crossbones and Ether, but they could. But just also just as a publishing company, just someone like they can get behind us. They don't have to be within the universe, but they can be on the website. We can help them promote their stuff, sell their stuff at conventions and stuff like that. We want to grow and like be a bigger family.
Oh, cutting out a little bit. We losing
someone to look.
Oh, what you were saying, grow together, be a family, and then it cut out a little bit.
Yeah. Just grow together and be a family, and just try to more so just be someone to look towards. Like, should there be like a starting indie company and stuff like that, and they need help or they need a publisher and stuff like that, we want to kind of be that. We want to help out new people, give them a face, stand behind them, stuff like that.
No, that's great. Yeah, because that's kind of like what we're doing too, and like we're kind of like starting off with pushing the digital platform a lot so that people can save money with the printing, but still get their comics known. But we also try to make it so that they realize like they own their stuff, they can put it wherever else they want. We're just another place to help push it, and even if they want to go off on their own after, it's fine. We just want to be like a jumping platform for them.
Right. Yeah, and I think that like your guys' platform has become like a type of community, and I personally, I know that he can say this too, is that we honestly really appreciate it, because I mean, a year ago, I mean, we've been planning this out for, who knows how long, but about November-ish is when we kind of really launched it. Just like with the website and the Instagram, like our social media wise, we launched all that. And it was just kind of like a fish out of water. It was kind of like, where do we go? What do we do? And so having you guys in the community that, you guys already had, it was honestly really, really helpful. And like we're still learning, we're still, picking things up and trying to learn new things. And I don't think we're ever going to stop. But I think that's just like, honestly, what you guys are doing is what I'm trying to say is super helpful. And then hopefully one day we can do the same thing for other people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, Greg, you want to do the lightning round?
Oh.
Yeah. This is like just simple like questions. Since there's two of you, it'll be basically 6 answers. So it's just 3 of them. Just say the first thing that comes to your head.
Oh, okay.
All right. Favorite restaurant?
Denny's. Denny's.
Oh my God.
Absolutely Denny's. 100% Denny's.
For me, it is called Great Khan. I like Mongolian barbecue.
Is it called Great Khan?
Bougie. Yeah. Or they changed their name, actually. It's GK Grill.
Nice.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh my gosh.
Iron Giant. Iron Giant.
That is a good movie.
I answered it on your guys' Silence of the Lambs. I love Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much.
What's
It's a really good movie.
Favorite show?
Favorite show? Oh shoot, that's so broad.
Venture Bros.
Venture Bros. I've never seen that.
Love the Venture Bros. Little bobblehead Brock Simpson.
You know what? I've been getting into American Horror Story. I think that's my favorite show right now. The American Horror Story.
Oh,
Horror stuff. What is wrong with me? Gosh.
yeah. I haven't seen the slasher, the one that's out right now, and I haven't seen the one before that. I think the last one I watched was.
Hey, Greg, so I was thinking,
barely started.
I got 2 thoughts. Either one, you can continue this interview, or we could bring these guys back on for the next set of questions on another podcast. But I definitely got to go in a minute.
Okay.
Oh,
If you guys want to do like a second part of this coming week, then we can do that.
Yeah, are you guys free for a second podcast?
yeah, we
Sure.
can. Yeah, totally.
And then promote your Kickstarter more and.
Well, yeah. Well, right now, for closing, we always have our guests share their platforms, what they're on, and what they're trying to push right now. So, where can people find you online?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's all Covenant Comics. Obviously, the Kickstarter is live right now. Just Kickstarter. Type in Crossbones. I don't think there's anything on there right now that's called Crossbones.
Crossbones, 1 word, 2 words? Oh.
1 word.
1 word. Yeah, we lost it for a second. Oh, they're back.
Yeah, 1 word.
All right, so we got those. So what's the goal for the Kickstarter?
Goal is $1,000. I think we're right now at 40% right now. So we're at my goal for the week. I wanted to at least make it to 40%. So hopefully we can make it to the rest of it. We got a whole another month left.
Very nice. And do you have any stretch goals planned in case you shoot past the moon?
We do. We have about 4 set up. But right now the focus is just getting to the goal. I think that's like all that's in my mind right now. A little stressed out, but that's okay.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, you're at 40% and it's only been, 4 days? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah. Ish.
Well, definitely wish you the best of luck. We'll keep you on for a couple seconds, but we're gonna cut the podcast in a second. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys later. Oh, you're the JD. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the D stand for?
Danger.
Danger. Nice. Anyways, introduce yourselves again, just to make sure everyone remembers you guys.
All right. Well, I am JD Gonzalez, and this is my partner,
Jesse Chisholm.
and we are with Covenant Comics.
Very nice. Glad to have you back.
Good to be back.
And Greg, I just realized, do you have the other questions up?
Yeah.
The questions. I'm super prepared, if you couldn't tell. Where'd it go? Go over here. So, Greg, you asked the first question then, because
Okay. Did we do the lightning round ones? I forgot if we did.
I
those.
think we ended on the lightning
Oh,
round
yeah,
ones,
that's
and then we
right.
tangented off into the abyss.
Okay. Since your Kickstarter is currently going, what are some of the struggles that you have to deal with?
Well, there's a lot of struggles, but I think that the main one that we face is just really getting our voice out there, and really just marketing in general. I think that it's just super difficult because we're just normal guys, and that's like the whole thing is that like I have zero knowledge about marketing. I didn't even go to college, and I don't have any really experience with that, so really breaking through all that noise of social media and just really just the internet itself is just like it's super hard getting your voice heard,
Yeah.
so I think that's the main issue.
There's also a lot of comparing ourselves to others.
Yeah,
Seeing
totally.
how well they do versus how like slow we're going along, and
Yeah,
it's a struggle to be like, well, why can't we be like them? Why are they at 10,000 on day 2?
yeah, definitely.
Do you ever watch Gary Vaynerchuk? I think we chatted for a second about him last time.
I believe so.
With who? With what?
That guy, the poster. You see him?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, barely.
Yeah, I know he's a little far back. That's Gary Vaynerchuk. He's the I don't have his first book, but his latest book, Crushing It. Yeah, he's his first book he wrote back in 2009. It's called Crush It, and essentially the entire point is to build content around stuff that you love so that eventually you can monetize the audience that you've built up around the stuff that you love. And so he does a ton of like life inspirational talks as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things he talks about is not looking at your neighbor. He's like, I wish I could find the Joneses so I could just kill them, get rid of them because they're causing too many problems.
Yeah.
Too many people are looking at other people like they're, because here's the thing, it's like just because someone else has made that $10,000 first doesn't mean like maybe their life's not together, but their business is great, right? Would you rather lose something else in life just so your business is ahead? A lot of the people that make it super successful, super young, have terrible other stuff going on in their life, and it's like I would rather keep my good friendships, good family life, all that stuff, than give that up just to make a bunch of money quick.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely makes sense. But yeah, I think that's just like, applicable to life in general. Just looking to others, comparing yourself to others is like it's so much ingrained in our society this day and age, like just with social media, looking at like Instagram and like looking at like, oh, he has a better car than me, or like she has, whatever, and it's kind of like a comparing game, and that's just so much in our society these days. And so it's so hard to break away from,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know.
Okay, you got the next question. I mean, what's the next question? I just opened it, so I don't know where you're at.
Number 8.
Number 8?
Yep.
What is that? Here, you read that. That's too many words.
I just do everything. So I've been seeing that Kickstarter, someone was trying to make like a union with Kickstarter, and that used to work there, but she got fired. And some indie creators actually were thinking of making their own platform, like crowdfunding platform. Do you think that could still be done, even though like Kickstarter's like such a major thing for crowdfunding? Yeah.
I think it's possible. I mean, you have other crowdfunding platforms like Indiegogo, GoFundMe, and all this stuff. I think it really depends on the community. Like the desire really needs to be there, you know. Like it can't just be like, oh, we're going to do this thing, and then the community isn't really behind it, you know. I think that I think it's hard. It's going to be hard because, you know, with just the indie comic community in general is so attached to Kickstarter and even Indiegogo too, that I think it would be a little bit difficult, but I think it's possible totally.
Yeah.
You know, if the desire is there. I think
I
that's
think I was gonna say, I think one of the hardest things would probably be pulling the people who aren't in the indie creator niche, so the actual fans. It's hard to probably pull them over to a new platform since they're used to Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's now what we're gonna try doing with our comic platform.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Not the crowdfunding thing. Well, maybe one day. But where Comic Central is like done on Halloween. Like it's the last day that it's gonna be around.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
did you guys hear about that? Yeah.
No, I didn't hear
They
about
announced it earlier this month that they'll be closing on October 31st.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So right now we're having.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it wasn't just
Man.
that.
Oh, we cut out there.
Yeah, you did.
I was just saying that what we're doing right now is we're having people look into the creators and the comics that are on their site to try to create a little database so we can potentially pull a lot of them since they're going to have to leave that platform and be able to still give them a home and definitely would be great to.
Yeah, definitely.
It sucks that that's happening, but
totally
capitalize on the fact that they got to go someplace.
Exactly.
One door closes, another one opens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a big opportunity for you guys, and hopefully that works out. Like you said, they need to go somewhere. It's not like they're just going to go into the abyss and ether and just disappear. Hopefully not.
Actually, I heard a Halloween joke. It was like if one door opens and another one closes, your house is probably haunted.
That's a good one.
Accurate.
I'm going to use that. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, so we're currently actually speaking of Halloween, we're actually currently doing a giveaway for the entire month of October.
Yeah.
Last year we tried to do this and it didn't quite work out. We were, but we wanted to try it again this year, changing the rules up a bit. So what do you think would get more people to participate in like a Halloween giveaway?
Honestly, that's like the golden question is like how to get people to interact with your page. I think it's just you have to grab their attention somehow, and that's just like that is. I don't know. That's just the question. I have zero idea.
I think it's a matter of just easy participation as well.
Yeah, totally.
There are some things where if I see like a giveaway, but then there's like a whole bunch of stuff I have to go through, I'm just not going to put up with it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be an easy access kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then also like the rewards have to be kind of eye grabbing, like you said, just
attention grabbing.
Yeah. Just clearly everything's out on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
no closed doors.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. What is it? Gary also talks about that, like having it so like people complain about privacy, like when Facebook, oh, it's eating up my privacy, but in reality, they just want things convenient and sometimes complaining.
Yeah.
But think about it. Like people sign up with apps using Facebook all the time because it's super easy, not realizing that they're allowing that app to take the data from Facebook, which is why that whole crazy, Senate hearing happened to begin with, because people are like,
so
oh, all this stuff is free. There's no way that they're getting something out of this. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, your data, that's what's happening. But it is true though, when you're trying to get someone's attention and you're trying to get them to participate, definitely minimizing friction by doing something like, hey, just enter your email. Just click this one button. You know, it definitely helps expedite the process so that they don't have to worry about it. They're like, ooh, I can win if I just click a button, right? Like people like that. And as long as you're not, not providing, value after that fact, then, it's definitely worth it for them in the long run. So that's good.
Yeah. I honestly am really appreciating like the whole contest you guys has been doing, because it's like you're integrating other creators. Like I remember yesterday, what did you guys do yesterday? You did it with another creator. I think it was that our with the Wendigo people.
Yep.
What are they called again? I forget.
Afterlight.
Afterlight. Yeah, and like you said, go pledge to their Kickstarter, and you'll get X amount of points towards our contest. And honestly, I think that just the idea of bringing the community together and making an outlet for other creators is such a honestly a noble thing to do, and I honestly really appreciate it.
Just trying to figure out what I'm gonna post that day. So
basically, he's like, we got to do something new.
Yeah,
is available.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, it's kind of that's one thing too. Over like probably the last 2 years, I'm sure Greg has realized like the thing that's been helping us move along the fastest has been just doing along the way. Like we're gonna do a giveaway. What are the prizes? I don't know. We'll figure it out. So, and it's like funny because I think a lot of creators get stumped on that for like anything. Like I was showing my brother our first comic, like not the reprint that we're getting, but the very first print that we made. Yeah. And he had like all these critiques on it, and I go, I'm very grateful for those critiques. We're going to make sure we utilize that information in further comics. But it's funny because he was getting like very critical of it at one point, and I was just thinking, I'm like, he has a comic book idea himself, but you don't have a physical copy, do you? You don't even have a artwork of it, right? Something's holding you back from doing that, and it's the fact that you don't want to put out something like this. And it's like, you know what? If our first comic was awful, it's still better than not having one.
Yeah, that's a good point, honestly.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that I feel like if more artists, more creators of any genre / media, thought about and like dove deeper, I think that would make the world a more colorful place.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I think that's just the fear of just being critiqued is like really what holds people back. Many times, maybe just like all the time.
Well,
but
it's funny because it's either that or it's the perfection thing. Like there's typically people that, but it's so funny because the only reason you'd be afraid to put out something now, even though it's not perfected, is purely because someone else would judge it. If it's not perfect in your eyes and you release it too early, you can still go back and make it better.
Oh yeah, totally.
So obviously that's not a reason to not put it out now. It's only the judgment that comes along with it. So it almost always leads back to that.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that really taking that judgment and that critique like you guys did, like you can take it and like let it kill you, or you can take it and move forward and help better build upon it.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, the first based on all the reviews from the first comic, like our second comic is going to be exceptionally better. And even our first comic, just the lettering, for example, like that was something that I physically did because we just didn't have the funds at first to pay for the letterer. And so because of that, it's obviously not done by someone who's done it before, and it's just kind of half-assed essentially. And not out of intentionally flying through it, but just lack of skill and knowledge and having to put it together. And so it's definitely like even like that one thing makes the comic look 10 times better.
It totally does.
Like our next comic, Greg and I were sitting down for hours going through and critiquing each panel, giving more description than probably he was expecting, but is very much like what's going on in this room, how many people are in this room, where are they in the room, what are they wearing? What is their pose? What direction are they facing? Like all of that stuff is so relevant because you can leave a lot to the artist's imagination, and they can kind of play with it. But if you leave too much, then the vision you had in your head fades away just because you don't get those details out. But definitely getting that feedback after that first comic, like there's so much stuff that we're gonna make sure that's in the next one that's gonna make it 10 times better.
That's awesome.
Our editing.
That's
What was that?
And we're still editing the second one.
I just realized you both talking. Greg,
Yeah.
I heard JD. What did Greg say?
Oh, and we're still editing the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So is the script finished or?
Well, the plot I would say is finished, but the script isn't, because we're basically, the way we've kind of been doing is Greg's like the creator. He's the one that's come up with the. Oh wait, did we lose him for a second? Oh, wait, they're back. Yeah, they're there. I was gonna say, Greg is basically the creator. He's come up with the core idea of it, and then I'm kind of like the editor in chief, running through it and making sure that there's no like holes in the story that don't make sense, or even simple things like this won't ruin any of the story, but at one point someone's taken out back and they're thrown, and I'm like, well, this is the back of a business. Is this one of those elevated platforms where a truck pulls in, or is it flat? And so there's a difference, because one of them they're throwing them down on the ground, the other one they're probably gonna have to like kick them down. Like you have to think about that, or the artist is gonna just use his own imagination. And if you do that and you don't keep it consistent, like what happens when you're at that place again in your comic and it looks different? Like I was just watching what was it, Hobbs and Shaw last night, and it's so funny. There's one scene within 5 minutes where The Rock literally is wearing a different thing every time it views back to him. Like it starts off where he's on his island, and he's wearing like cargo shorts, and then he has like a traditional Samoan skirt over it, right?
Yeah.
And basically he rips off the skirt, he's running with just the shorts, it looks to something else, it comes back, he's now wearing pants, then it comes back, he now has a t-shirt and boots on. Like, it's ridiculous. I was like, dude, if he did it one more time and he was wearing a cowboy hat, I would have lost my mind. Like, it was too much. But like there were scenes like that where it's just like the consistency or the congruency is so off that like luckily that type of movie is all about the explosions, the speed, right? It's not too distracting, but like it was humorous how like I think, and not only that, right before that scene happened, it was in the middle of the night, pitch black with fire. That's why it was the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And they started a timer that was 30 minutes long. It's now only 21 minutes left, and it's noon. It's like bright as day, blue skies, no clouds, and it's like, it's just absolutely crazy. And then like about, was it 7 minutes later after that, it's now a dark clouds thunderstorm pouring on one part of the island, and maybe a couple miles away, but not far enough to not see this. It is still sunny out. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, so like that kind of stuff, if you leave it up to an artist, it can really distract later on. Like it does. Like I actually found out something we have to fix for our second rendition of our first comic, where one of our characters was drawn wearing glasses in the middle scene, and so I realized after talking to readers that like that's like you don't know who that is. You actually lose track of who that is because of the fact that our artist accidentally drew glasses on this guy. Right.
Really?
So like little thing. Like, it was funny too, because I remember fixing that guy before. There was something like he was missing an ID badge or something like that, and so we pointed that out to the and a tie. Yeah, we pointed that out to the artist, like, hey, he was missing this. He had it in the previous scene, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, we didn't realize something that was even worse, like his face.
He took that off in between scenes.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's super important, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's a main character, so like if it was like a rant, if it was
he's a character later. Yeah. It's a secret.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Years.
So speaking of working with other people. Do you have any guidelines or rules for your comics? Like I was saying, like we tried, like one of our things that we're trying to do is ensure consistency and congruency. Like we even have a map built out of our city to make sure that like Elm Street's always 3 blocks away from Main Street or whatever, stuff like that. Like, yeah, there's other stuff that I'm sure we'll miss, but that's the thing we're trying to do is to have a physical congruency. But are there any rules like that for your universe, that you're trying to keep?
Well, yeah. We gotta, just with people with powers and stuff like that, they gotta be called a certain thing. They gotta be called like paras. There was a hero back in the 80s, that has to be consistent. Like he was this big hero that died back then, and so he's
spoilers.
It's fine. Spoilers. It's like if we were to take someone on or something like that, if someone wanted to join the universe of Crossbones and Ether, they would have to go along with such guidelines, and like time period wise, they have to be in the same time period, so they can't have like super advanced cars or like super advanced technology because it's not around our time right now, and so there's definitely guidelines.
Yeah.
Do you have other rules? Like one thing that we actually did just because we didn't want to deal with the complexity of it was we removed religion from our. Yeah, that one. Yeah, there's another one too. Because we kind of have that other character that might end up being an issue later, but for specifically religion, we removed that so that we don't even have to deal with that. And it's funny because later we're reviewing the dialogue, and there was something like somebody said, "God damn it!" and it's like, wait, does that make sense in this universe? Can you say that? And we're like, you know what? I think we're going to remove it just in case, and that way, like the consistency there, just because we've created and this is like a semi spoiler, but it's not like ruining any story. But there's going to be another realm in our universe.
Okay.
And that universe is going to be sorry, phone call. It's funny too. I think it's just my phone's muted. That's weird. Anyways, so that realm is kind of going to be what would replace a religious thing. So there's other worlds that have or there's other universes that can be part of our world, and they can have their own like extra realm, and one of those could be religion in their universe. But we're basically having this really complex build out where we don't you get one special realm essentially to your world.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that later, but I won't spoil that because that part will be cool.
It's really cool. It's very unique. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. That's super cool. I think that right now we have a rule that just because in the same sense, we don't really want to deal with the complexity of it, or we're just kind of lazy. Mm-hmm. Is that we've kind of established that there is no there are no aliens, and their outer space is just just there. It's just dead space.
Too complex.
Yeah, because I don't know. It's just this
that's
thing
very
where
cool. Yeah, that's kind of what I meant by universe rules, because I think we wanted. I think in the future there's some idea we have that might involve that, but we'll still keep it limited.
I already wrote one for space, so
yeah, there it is. Yeah, and so that'll be something that we can definitely do, because for example, our city is a made up city, but we decided instead of doing it like DC, where Gotham and Metropolis are still in America on Earth, we are literally creating a whole new Earth. So it's going to be just like Earth. The continents will be the same. But we haven't mentioned countries or any of that stuff yet, because we want to be able to be super fluid with it. And but as we're designing it, it's going to be solidified. And so we actually later, because he was mentioning the space stuff. This will be way later. But when that stuff gets involved, we actually even have a name for our planet within the universe that's more specific. Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah. Would you say that it's outside the universe of Earth, or are they in the same universe?
So, most likely, Earth could be its own universe, which would be. Did you ever see Supernatural?
No, I never. Yeah, bits and pieces.
Okay, so there's one episode where they're basically fighting. I think they're It's some demon, but essentially an angel comes, grabs the two of them, and throws them through a plate glass window.
Yeah.
And then they wake up through that plate glass window, and you hear a director go, cut. And they're like, what the hell? And it turns out they were thrown into literally our Earth as the actors that play themselves.
That's so funny. It's so funny.
So the concept that our Earth can exist and in another universe our comic Earth exists is probably more like what we would have, is like we wouldn't have anyone who's on our Earth like that we exist in now. It would be more like that's its own universe where none of this kind of stuff happens, and we're in a different universe, and that's why all this stuff can happen.
That's really cool. Would you ever have like a character that's like kind of like Deadpool, where he like breaks the fourth wall and he's like aware of his like being a fictional character or anything like that?
So there was somebody that he had that was very too much like that, so we had to completely change that.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I don't actually know, Greg, if we have anyone who truly breaks the fourth wall.
I just wrote. I started writing one this morning.
Oh wow.
Cool. Yeah. It's a solo series, and I might release that one before one of the other ones I wanted to release next year, because the person that the character is based off of, I found out has cancer, so I kind of want to like release that before.
Yeah.
Really so he's narrating, but he's actually a biker. He's like the biker character that we have.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and it is like Quentin Tarantino, like so the comic starts with him like already like chasing down somebody, and then he narrates while he's talking to this one guy because something already has happened, and he's trying to figure out where this one person is that's like a major like bad guy, and then he's narrating like, oh, you must be wondering who the fuck I am and like why I'm here, and then it like goes back in time to like the beginning.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
let's go back
to the beginning.
Do you have a name for the series?
I was gonna just call him by his name, Pat, but I don't know if I want to call it that or something else.
Cool. That's super cool. So it's still in development.
Yeah, but I'm gonna try to release that before probably the Boxer comic, because that's based off of this kind of friend that I have, but he's annoying.
He's annoying. Do you guys use the same artist for every single one of these series, or you have different artists?
I was trying to use the same artist, but he's really, really busy.
Gotcha.
So the artist that we have for the current Seer Chronicles, he's no more.
No more.
So,
yeah, when we were working with our last artist, there was just a couple of things that just didn't work with what we were trying to do, and we had to like do a lot of workarounds to use the art in some cases, and so there's also a language barrier, so we didn't want to deal with that anymore. So that we are working with a new artist for Seer Chronicles. Greg, I think Ink is a different one though, right?
Ink is the artist that I want to use for like everything else, but he's like super busy with like he has to do like a graphic novel that's due in February. Wow. And it's a very long graphic novel. And then I was like, so are you like free March? And he's like, maybe. And I was like, well, I would like to like start releasing a comic next year, not around that time, because the next Kickstarter is not going to even be a comic. But yeah, so I want to like release a comic like around summer time.
Yeah.
I gotta find an artist, I guess, because I don't think it'll be free by then.
It's always the struggle.
Yeah, it's always a struggle for us, is finding artists that are, available or willing or whatever,
But you get everything. It's like, you got to have someone who's not overly expensive, but obviously you're not looking to be cheap, because if you're cheap, you get what you pay for. And then you need someone who's, easy to communicate with. They kind of get your picture. Greg, who's the artist we were talking to that on our podcast? I think it was like episode 4. That kind of, it was about like, he was saying how he had the opportunity to work with one comic creator and he just turned it down because it didn't fit his style. It was with Monsters he was talking about.
I think that was Shane.
Yeah, is that?
I think that was like 9. No, not 9.
No, it was a while ago. It was like maybe episode 4. It was one of our first episodes.
Yeah, I know. I don't know which number it was.
It doesn't matter, but yeah,
so
he was talking about how he's an artist. He's got great work, but like his thing is working on people and clothing. Like that's like his specialty, and he's working with this.
Oh wait, no, Todd.
Todd, yes, there we go. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, Todd. And so yeah, he works with people in clothing, and somebody wanted him to draw like monsters, and he's like, I don't feel comfortable enough doing that to like make it the way that you're picturing it and the way I would envision it. And so it's like that's it sucks because that's actually a good artist too, like somebody who knows where they should draw. But if they're not in the lane that you're looking for, then yeah, you got to find one that is.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, you know. Like, what if you hire somebody kind of like that, and like their style just so like it looks different from like their previous works, and it's like, man, your style doesn't fit my vision anymore, and it's like you're kind of stuck with that, you know.
Yeah, well, it's funny because one of the things that we've been doing is like, honestly, like if our artwork changes a little bit along the way, we're not going to care that much. Because we actually plan on going back to change it. And that's the thing is like I'm very much about anything, not just for comics, but anything in life or business. I'm very much do it first. You can always go back and change it. Like, and if someone's upset that you went back and changed it, they weren't that big of a fan to begin with. They're just someone who's a critic, right? So yeah, it's like our very first version of our comic. We shared it before, but it never got printed because it compared to what we have now, it wasn't even close to what we were envisioning. Right?
Really?
Yeah, not even close. And but we had like 4 or 5 pages drawn of it, I think, maybe more. We had a lot of our comic drawn up, and we were just like, this isn't looking like what we could work with, because like we wouldn't want to this look for that long, but we still did it, and then we switched over to the previous artist who, like I said, we're not quite working with him anymore, but it's still much it's a big leap from what we had before.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah. So if that ever holds you up, if you're like seriously, just get an artist, work with them, because like that's kind of the cool thing about being an indie comic creator is you don't have to, like there's that book like How to Draw Like Marvel.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you know there's that book How to Draw Like Marvel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like that's the thing about being an indie creator. You don't need to have a look, even for your own comic. Like it could drastically change. Now you should develop a look, because then people get used to seeing you, like the Coca-Cola logo. You just recognize it automatically. So that's what you want eventually. But like as you're developing yourself, like your first couple comics, maybe they don't make any money. That's perfectly fine. Like the goal is to develop your skill. And if your skill is either artwork or storytelling, and say you're the storyteller and you're paying an artist, either you can keep working with that artist to make them get better, or you can, find somebody else, pay more to get a better artist. But you're also able to work on your storytelling the whole time, because if your story is great, stick figures can be a great artwork. I don't know if you've ever seen those stick figure fights on YouTube, but there's some amazing videos on there. Like where you're like, what? Like these are just stick figures, and I'm like really concerned about this guy. Like, like is he gonna make it?
He's gonna make it.
So like that's the thing, is storytelling overrides almost any artwork, and so that's the thing that you can always go back, get a better artist, make a edition 2, and now the old crappy edition 1 is now worth money because people want collectibles.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, totally. What were you gonna say?
I mean, you can always just slap an anniversary on it. Just like,
exactly.
Like, it's the 2-year anniversary. We redid the whole thing and new art, new colors, everything like that. And people just eat it up. It's great. They're totally okay with it.
Actually, was that, dang it, who's the one who did a black and white comic and then later they colored it, but now the black and white ones are worth money. Like people are willing to pay double.
Really?
Remember, Greg?
Um,
That was like maybe 3 ago, before Joe Ventures.
I forgot who that was.
It was the one I remember he had a dog,
He had a dog.
and he had to go because I think his wife came home.
Oh, Travis.
Travis, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, he deals more directly with all the creators. I'm like the back end guy, so I have to get better with names. But yeah, so yeah, he had the first rendition of his comic was only black and white.
Really?
And so later he colored it, and it looks way better. But it's funny because people still wanted the black and white version of it, which
Really?
means later he can then create comic 3, comic 4, whatever version of it, and go, by the way, I made an alternate version of it that's black and white, and he can charge more even though it's less work.
Yeah.
Because it's more valued. Like, that's the thing. People don't realize that you should charge for value, not for time spent. If you ever go for time spent, you'll never make any money. Because when you charge for a service, it's like, how much is this service worth to you? For example, like, I'd be willing to pay someone a few $100 to clean my whole house if I didn't have to do it, right? But if it's like 1,000, well, that's too much. I'd rather do it myself, right? So it's that barrier for stuff. And when it comes to things like entertainment or escapism, it's how much do people desire to own the thing, like, for this collectible sake, as well as being involved in a story as long as it's ongoing. Like, that's why the Marvel franchise, the MCU specifically, was so effective, was because they got you in the first movie and then the next movie, and they just dragged you along. And that's why DC's doing awful right now, because they can't figure out how to just, like, literally they could just copy what Marvel did. Start off with, if I asked you to name a superhero before the MCU came out, the odds that you would have said Iron Man first were slim to none. People know who he is, but, like, same with Thor. Like, if I was like, name a comic book hero, you're not like Thor, right?
Thor.
You're like Superman, Batman. Isn't that weird that the two that come to mind first are both DC? And then you're like Spider-Man, obviously. Maybe Captain America. Like, they start coming to you like that. But you don't think Iron Man. You don't think Thor. And now those are like the most commonly used ones. If you're like, name a superhero, oh, Iron Man, of course. Because I am Iron, right? And so that's what DC, if they would just do that, it would be phenomenal. Like, if they would just start off with if they had started off with Aquaman and made it a little less cartoonish, because it was still, I thought it was a decent movie. The plot was a little twisted. They could have fixed that. If they fixed a little bit of the artwork, because they sometimes made it a little too corny, and they just, but there's chunks of that movie that were good enough that could have got you involved into it. And then they could have added, Wonder Woman next. Although, even though she's huge, like, to have her own big movie like that after all these other ones came out still would have stood out a lot, right? And then just slowly add, like, Cyborg. I would have loved a Cyborg solo movie.
Totally.
Like, he was the one that had the most backstory during the Justice League, and I was like, dude, I want more. Give me more. Like, this is that was amazing. And it's like, if they would just learn to do that, it worked for a reason. What is it? And Pablo Picasso was like, great artists, or good artists copy, great artists steal. And it's like, just take the idea. It's fine.
That's funny. I think that they had that opportunity way back when with Men of Steel, because that was like the definitive movie of the DCEU or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like, they waited, I don't know how many years, because that came out in like 2013. And then the next movie after that was Batman v Superman. But I feel like they just rushed it right after that, because they saw what Marvel was doing, and then they're like, oh shoot, we need to hop on this bandwagon.
I know, dude, it's so funny. They had the same thing you're talking about. Oh no, they got a Lamborghini and a bunch of money. I want a Lamborghini and a bunch of money. Exactly. But, like, if they had just, like, honestly, if Batman versus Superman was our first introduction to Batman, I probably still would have been okay with that. Only for the fact that we have seen Batman's story, I don't know, 16 times. Right? And so if his introduction was the actual Dark Knight version of Batman, where he tries to kill Superman, like, that's awesome. And honestly, like that movie, I think was it Ben Affleck. Like I didn't expect him to do a good job, but he did an amazing job compared to what I thought could have happened. Like he bulked up like the size of Bane. Like it was, and that's actually what he did in that version of the comic. So like it was incredible. Like so like the whole thing where what was it? They pan past the Robin scene, like the Robin's like. They could have made just a movie about the Joker kidnapping Robin, and at the very end, Batman comes in and is broken, and then the next movie could have been Batman versus Superman. And we could have never had a Batman movie between any of those. That would have been fucking amazing.
Yeah. This is like a sore subject for us because we're huge DC fans, and so like seeing everything play out and just going and watching these movies and everyone just like completely pooping on these movies. It's just like it's hard being a DC fan and watching these movies, And I'm a big advocate for that. DC makes really good Oscar-winning movies, and so when they did this thing where it's like I'm gonna copy Marvel, it's like they went downhill because it's like, dude, they made the Dark Knight series, and now like another big example of this is the Joker movie. Like this was a very good.
So good.
I haven't seen it. Don't spoil it. I'm seeing it this week.
I'm gonna spoil it, but it was like, it's like DC went back to their roots of making a very good, just a good movie, not like a Marvel movie. They just made a good movie in general.
Yeah, like the Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises were phenomenal movies, even individually. Even if you didn't watch them in order and had no idea what was going on, they were just great movies.
Exactly.
Right? Like there's still. I was actually just watching did you ever watch Game Theory on YouTube?
Yeah.
I watched the breakdown of how the Joker's the real hero of the second. He's the one that saves Gotham in The Dark Knight, and it's because of the fact that he actually steals all the mobsters' money. He burns it all. So now the mobsters are broke. He then, because of that, the corrupt cops aren't getting paid anymore, and a bunch of issues happen. And all of a sudden, they start going to jail. They make he makes Harvey Dent a bad guy, which forces Batman to kill him, which he breaks his one rule, so that forces Batman to retire. And because he's now the villain and Harvey Dent dies the hero, so the hero isn't a vigilante, it actually makes the city calm for the next 8 years before Bane comes back. So if you watch Batman Begins, the goal was to wipe out the city and make it start over because there was no way to do it otherwise, and the Joker actually pulls it off. Like that's the funny thing is if you watch it, he even says like, you think I would risk Gotham's soul on a fist fight with you when he's hanging upside down? And then he has to go fight Harvey Dent, and he has to stop him, or he's going to lose Commissioner Gordon, right? Oh, and not only that, the corrupt or the incompetent commissioner is fired, and Commissioner Gordon, the flawless, virtuous Commissioner Gordon takes his place. So like, everything falls into place for Gotham to now be great until Bane shows up again.
Wow. It is so clever.
Right? Like that's crazy. But that means that the directors and the designers of the movie had to have actually thought that through because it makes sense. It so perfectly makes sense. Like they couldn't have accidentally done that. That means that was intentional. Like that's crazy how powerful that movie is. And so that's why it's like, I wish they would just do that with movies. Like I'd be okay if they made a 3-part movie for Wonder Woman, a 3-part movie for Cyborg, a 3-part movie for all of them, and then they because that would be different. Like because Marvel was like, what is it, Iron Man, Thor, whatever. Like they alternated. Where I would be okay if they did The Dark Knight Rises. And then they did Wonder Woman, and they could have been during the same years, like maybe 2 movies a year, so Batman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Wonder Woman, whatever. And they dug deep into those characters, and then go to the Justice League. Like think about it. Like what was it, Steppenwolf or whatever his face was?
Yeah.
What is it? Wonder Woman and Aquaman are supposed to be near the strength of Superman. Like there's some versions of Superman where he can like sneeze and blow up a universe, but like the general strength of Superman is something like he's as strong as 40 men. Like that's what it's supposed to be. And the other two are gods essentially. And so it's like they're supposed to be like semi on par. but Superman would beat both of them individually in a fist fight. And they're all fighting Steppenwolf. And then all of a sudden, Superman comes in and he's like, "Here, let me just handle him. Could you go deactivate that thing?" And it's like, what is going on? And like Batman, who is supposed to be the most logical and consistent person, who always makes sense even when it doesn't seem like it makes sense, he's like, "I need to save my boyfriend Superman because he's the only one that can fight everyone." Like it didn't. He was like, even he was the one that was trying to kill him just in case he went evil, and now he's willing to risk that to revive him. With no idea of knowing if he'll even be like, he could have just came to life brain dead and just started shooting lasers and killing everyone.
Yeah.
But he's like, "No, we got to do it. It's the only way." It's like that's not the Batman I know.
Yeah.
That's not any Batman I know.
Like the whole Warner Brothers switching up the directors thing, because I think I read somewhere, I think Zack Snyder actually revealed that in his version he actually had Wonder Woman kill Steppenwolf, and I was like, dude, that is
That's
actually
should have
cool.
been.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
would have made sense because it was her. It was, I think that it was her village, her community, Aquaman's community, and people that were all fighting them off. So it would have been great. Honestly, it would have been cool if both like Wonder Woman and Aquaman are the ones that finished him because they're the ones that started it originally. Like that would have been great.
Yeah.
And Superman essentially just kind of helped. You know what I mean? Like that would have been great. So yeah, it was definitely misstep.
Missed opportunities, and I'll cry a big DC tear for the. It's just we got good animated movies though.
Yeah.
They're great at those. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still love the Dark Knight or Batman versus Super. I can't remember if it's the Dark Knight or Batman versus Superman, whatever they called it. But the animated version of that when he's old and you see what's his face, Green Arrow with his arm gone.
Yes.
Right? Like, because I loved that movie so much. Like, have you seen the show Green Arrow?
Yeah.
Have you seen DC Legends of Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Have you seen all of them?
No, I think I stopped after like season 5 or 4 or whatever.
Okay, so you got about as far as I did. So this won't ruin anything for you and anyone else who hasn't seen it. Spoiler alert. But there's a scene where they end up in the future, and it's like this dystopian future. What is it? What's their city? Star City. Star City. Yeah. Is in chaos, and they eventually find Oliver hiding, and he's missing an arm. And I'm like, yes, like that's because that happens in the dystopian future of the Dark Knight series. He had his arm removed because he was too much of a threat.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome. Like that's so cool that they added that in that cartoon because they didn't have to do that. It's a cartoon. They didn't have to have somebody missing an arm, and he's still the one that helps Batman beat Superman. I was like, it's so awesome.
That's why I don't understand. Like, they're so good at making these animated movies. Why can't that translate into these live action movies? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm mad.
Yeah. Well, now that we've tangented enough on that, does Greg have any other questions for you guys?
Nope.
Now that we're completely off topic, which is great. Yeah. We're talking about comics. It's semi on topic. We're good.
Yeah.
But no, that's good. So do you have any future plans that have not been announced yet? We could be the first place they're announced.
We're gonna move the new guy, or no?
I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, you know what?
All right.
Since this last week, we actually got in contact, or this other guy contacted us rather through our website, which is cool because nobody really does that.
Yeah.
He was just really wanting to join forces with us with his new comic, Burlap, which is super, super. We got the pleasure of reading it, and honestly, is really a really good comic. Very good comic. And so having this guy, his name is Jesse James Bear. Bear. It's such a cool name. But he's going to be joining the Covenant Comics team, and hopefully soon, having his comic on our website, and actually even on your guys' website as well, called Burlap. So I don't know if he's going to give us, permission to share right now what it's about, but it's kind of it's like a vigilante. He described it as like, what do you say? Like Punisher mixed with like
Leatherface.
With Leatherface.
Ooh.
Oh,
So,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
he's on Facebook, so like we don't want to spoil anything for ourselves, but there is a lot of stuff on Facebook that that he goes into his story a bit and stuff like that. And it's really cool. He dedicated it to his brother. I think his name was Jacob Bear.
Yeah.
It's just a super cool project all around. And he's very clever, very creative.
Yeah. Cool guy.
Is he the creator or the artist both?
He's the creator. I don't know who the artist is. He mentioned it once, but I don't remember.
Zizani. It was a interesting name.
Yeah. I don't remember what his artist's name was, but yeah, he's the creator of it, and super super cool comic. It's going to be I think he said he wants it in black and white, and so it's just like, yeah, we got to read the first issue, and man, I was hooked. It was a
really
good issue.
That's
so
awesome.
Super excited to be releasing that.
Have him on board.
Have him on board.
That.
So yeah, he's a cool guy. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. Well, so we got some exclusive insights.
Yeah.
Talk about the atrocity that is DC, and we got to talk about the Kickstarter. So yeah, I guess so for everyone listening, where do you want to send them to find you?
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
our website. covenantcomics.com.
Yeah. Kickstarter live right now. Please pledge, please share wherever, whatever you feel led to do,
And what's the easiest way to find you on Kickstarter? Under Covenant Comics or?
I just look up Crossbones. I don't think there are any other.
The first thing that pops up.
The first thing that pops up.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Awesome.
We're halfway there.
Very cool. Well, we'll keep you on for a second longer, but yeah, we can end the podcast recording now.
Alrighty.
Sweet. Greg got that?
Yep.
Sweet. Cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, it's good that you're halfway there because it goes to the end of the month, right?
Yeah. So I think technically November 1st is the last day, but I think we're about halfway through. So yeah, because right now you're in like the lull period too, because typically the payments come in like beginning and so it's that little dip. So especially if you can keep pushing it now in the middle, that's how we got to our like almost double what we were looking for, because of the fact that we pushed pretty hard right after we knew that the dip was happening. We just continued to keep pushing. So that's definitely something to keep you doing. Yeah, I know that we've been trying to post every day now, because I noticed this last week we only posted like once in the beginning, and then I was like, shoot, we need to be posting like every day.
Yeah.
And so I Snapchatted him, and I was like, okay, here's these 3 graphics that I made really quick. Like, we're gonna be posting these the next 3 days on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that. And I was like, we need to really be pushing this. But right now it's just, I'm honestly personally scared, because it's like we're halfway there and we're like halfway through, and like for me, like I had this stretch goal of having 4 additional pages, and like those 4 additional pages actually play a big part in the story. And so I'm like, dude, I hope that we get there, because I need these in the actual issue. And so I
would say one thing that might help with that would be if you so first off, do all of your social media accounts, like including Instagram, is their primary link now the Kickstarter?
Yes. Oh, I don't know about Twitter, but yeah.
So that's funny, because I was actually going to specifically mention Twitter. I would even change your bio to say, hey, we're running a Kickstarter, link is below, kind of thing.
And literally the Kickstarter link to your or the Kickstarter post as like your top post.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So whatever you posted, pin it, so like when people go to your page. And then what I would do is I would just go under, comic books, like hashtag comic books, hashtag indie comic books, and just start replying to people, not like posting about your stuff, just talking about comics, replying to whatever they're talking about. Do that like 100 times a day, because it really doesn't take that long. You're like, cool. Oh, yeah. And all you need is just one person to click on your page, go to your account and go, oh, they're running a Kickstarter. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. They're halfway there. Well, here's $1, right? And now you're getting it from strangers, right? Yeah. And that's when you can really, like if you're looking to extend your current market that you're going after, that's a really good way to actively do it. without push. Because if you just ask people to give you money, you might even lose people that way. So the best way to do it is just start being involved in like a ton of conversations. And instead of joining a group for the sake of joining the group to get people to come talk to you, right? Instead, if you're on Twitter doing that, even if they don't end up donating, you might just randomly find a bunch of fans.
Yeah, totally.
So it's time very well spent. It'll get your name everywhere. Like someone else who's liking the comment of the people might even see, like it might be a tangential person that sees that, and so your name will just start appearing everywhere.
Yeah, I think that I did that accidentally a couple weeks even before the Kickstarter started. I was just replying because I was just going on like the comic book like pages, and I was just like, man, I like this comic and I really like this cover, and I just commented that, and then me and this other guy just sparked a conversation about that whatever comic book it was about, and it was just like back and forth, and now he's like a really big follower of ours, and so I was like, why don't I just do that? Because it wasn't even intentionally doing that to market ourselves. It was just because I liked whatever the comic cover was, and I was like, this is a cool cover, and then sparked a conversation.
Exactly. That's the thing too, is if you do it with the intent of trying to get more followers, you won't get them, because people can read intent in messages. But if you're just honestly being involved in the community, it just will, inevitably lead people to you. And then it's basically, is your stuff good enough to get them to stay? So you know what I mean, like, so as long as your quality meets a certain barrier for whoever it is, because like this person high barrier, not going to get them. This person low barrier, you're going to get them. This person, you're right there, perfect, you're going to get them, right? Yeah. So now that your quality is set pretty much at the moment, and hopefully it continues to rise, you're going to be slowly just getting in front of people, not to talk about you. You're talking about them, but then they might just go, "Who's this guy that keeps talking about me?" And like that's super, super helpful.
Yeah. I think that honestly something really cool that just happened the other day is I commented on Tony Daniel's post.
Oh yeah.
And like I was like, oh, this is a super cool cover of Deathstroke. And then I looked back and he actually liked our comment. And I was like, Tony Daniel liked my comment. And I was freaking out.
Now, do you know what's hilarious about that feeling? Think about that for all of your fans.
That's true.
That's what I mean. Like if you reply to every single one of them, like that's awesome. Like people love that. It does even if like a nobody comments on your message, you're still like, ooh, somebody cared about my message. Because everyone's favorite person is themselves, even people that hate themselves. You know what I mean? It just means they hate everyone else, even more. So, but the point is that like as long as you're involved with them, like that's huge. And not only that, like I said, the tangential stuff, the Gary Vaynerchuk guy I was talking about, one of the things that he talked about was he was doing marketing for a company called Wine Lib, or it was a Discount Wine and Liquor. His dad owned it, and he started bringing it online back in like '97 kind of thing, or it was 2000. I think it was 2006 he got it on YouTube. I don't remember if he actually started in '97, but 2006 is when YouTube came out, and he jumped on that bandwagon. And for like 3 years, nobody listened to him, and then all of a sudden, people start getting him. So now that he started to get people online, and he's like, "Oh, this is really working," he had some guy who bought, I think it was like $250 worth of wine. So he was like, "Oh, this guy's cool." So what he ends up doing, and it had nothing to do with social media, but what he did was he had somebody who worked for him go on eBay and find him, because he went into his Twitter feed and goes, "Ooh, this is the guy that bought $250 worth of stuff. What is he talking about?" And he kept mentioning a sports team. I don't remember what it was. So what ends up happening is he gets somebody that works for him to buy a jersey signed by a famous athlete for that team and send it to him. And it actually cost more than the wine cost.
Wow.
Weeks go by, they don't hear anything, no retweet or mention, like a picture posted. And he's like, what? That's kind of weird. Like, you think he'd at least be like, oh my God, these guys, like just a little bit of love. He wasn't looking for it, but it was just like, holy crap, like I can't believe that wasn't mentioned. It's been weeks.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they had a $3,500 order come in.
Wow.
And it was not the same guy, different guy. But in the message, like with the order that he placed, he wrote a message and said, "Hey, a friend of mine told me about you guys, said you bought him a jersey. By the way, you have amazing prices on Chardonnay," or something like that. P.S. I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. Right? Like, because he's like these, like, or he might, they like that's real guerrilla marketing using social media marketing. Like, that's what I mean by, like, just going out there and being involved with people. Like, that's huge to them, right? Like, knowing that you care about anything that they care about is enough to, like, keep their attention. So, like, that's, you know, incredible.
Yeah, totally. I think that. I think that it's like, it's super personable. People like talking to other people, like, as like, not so much on the streets, maybe not, but like people. That's why people have social media, to be able to connect and to relate to other people. And so having that, being able to connect with, I mean, not even just like a corporation, but just somebody that's like semi-important or something, that's such a big feeling, you know? And like when Tony Daniel liked my comment, I was like, dude, Tony Daniel like noticed me for like 2 seconds. Like, that is awesome. Like, that's so cool. And just having that feeling of just connection with another person.
Yeah, well,
very
the thing
big.
is, people like to talk to people on the streets. It's just that they feel so uncomfortable when they do it, and they can't turn you off after, right? Like, if I could like one of your comments and walk away, and now I've engaged with you. You can like one of my comics, I can go comments, and I can go thanks, and we can both walk away. Where in the streets you kind of get trapped, and so it's the anxiety of that. What is he doing? What
I have to go.
Oh,
that's fine.
Okay, you can keep talking, do whatever you gotta do.
Yeah, because I have control over the stream, right? Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. Just leave your computer on.
Okay.
Later.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what we've been doing is so like after he ends the podcast stream, we keep the YouTube live, which isn't live because no one can see it, it's private. But we keep that streaming just in case there's any like gems that we have, and later we're gonna see if maybe we can get some compilations and stuff. Like, we've talked about Kickstarter stuff after a bunch of our stuff. Like, we don't think about to talk about it during the podcast for whatever reason. And so we're hoping that eventually we can get a collection of that stuff, and then with the permission of the creators, knowing that we cut the feed, it's like, hey, this was after the feed, could we use this? And then we can post that stuff up, which would be cool. That's another way to get a bunch of content. Which, by the way, that's something that for getting content, the Gary Vee guy, there's this amazing concept that he's created. It's called it's his content model, the how to create micro content. And the concept is you do something like a podcast like this, where we're recording it video and audio. So the video, we can now take it and slice a photo out of it, take a caption that we said during it, and now we've got micro content. We could take the entire thing, transcribe it, and now we've got a blog. We could take a segment of it and make a small video, like maybe just a portion where we talk about doing a specific thing and end when that conversation ends. Now we've got either YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, right, for those. Yeah. And then you can even take one small quote from it and put it in a Twitter post.
Yeah, wow.
So like that's that right there off the top of my head, I just created 8 pieces of content from one.
Yeah.
And because what he says is like, he's like, for a large corporation, like a really large one, they should be making like 300 posts a day. But that includes Twitter, Instagram feed, Instagram story, Facebook story, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, podcast, blog, right? So like that's 10 different platforms, and there's more than just that, depending on what you're trying to get into. So if you guys are looking to create content during this campaign, when we upload the video, if you need the full stuff, just send us an email. Greg can try to figure out how to get you the full video, and then with that, you can just start splicing stuff out of it, right? Like even just like right now, like photo right here of you guys talking with one of us in the bottom, right, is enough to go, hey, we just had a podcast. Now you're talking about podcasts, which means anyone interested in podcasts might all of a sudden figure out, oh, comic book people are talking about podcasts now, right? Like, so like there's stuff like that can really dive into it. You could do one like, hey, these are our thoughts on DC, and just show like that last 10-minute rant about DC, right? So like there's stuff like that you can really, people don't realize like that's how you can make a connection with audience and fans is everything that's not your business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like think about it. If I sell soap, nobody cares that I sell soap. They care that I'm also a Mario fan.
Yeah.
Right? And so maybe I make one Mario soap. I don't have to, but the point is because I'm a Mario fan, now they're interested in me, which makes them more interested in whatever I might have to sell.
Yeah, totally. Honestly, I gotta use that. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that Baja Blast.
Baja Blast. But yeah, so that's definitely though. If you guys are looking to get content out specifically for this month, that's probably the best way to do it. I'm sure whether or not you just use this video or not, even you guys could just do a long video where you talk about something, post it up on YouTube. Now you got a YouTube video. Actually, let me. Where's that link? I'm gonna pull up that link real quick. What's it called? UV content. Yeah, there. Yeah, this thing is awesome. It's on Slide. Do you have LinkedIn?
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't think you need LinkedIn, but I don't know. You might to just get access to this to download it, maybe.
No, okay.
Either way, you should have LinkedIn because LinkedIn is great because. Yeah, here one second. I'm gonna send it like in Google Hangouts, so it'll disappear in a second. But just click on it real quick when it pops up. See that?
No.
Do you see it?
I do not.
On the bottom left, is there a little message bubble?
Yeah, but there's nothing in the.
So click on it.
Yeah.
And then click the little left arrow. I think it is.
Oh, there we go.
You see it? The blue link.
Nope.
One second.
Let's show mess here. Try again. Yeah.
Wait, what?
I definitely see where you're talking about, but it's just a blank.
Here, one second. Let me share my screen real quick, and then so you can see what I'm looking at. So see my screen?
Yeah, that's what I'm on.
You see this panel right here?
I see the panel, but it doesn't have you on it yet.
That's weird.
He's trying to send a link.
Oh.
Yeah, see, it's still not popping. Oh wait, it made a noise.
Facebook.
No, that sounds like Facebook. That's weird. Here, one second. I'll stop screen share. Actually, I'll just get you guys on Facebook real quick. That'll work. Wrong one. I need this one.
Facebook.
The Book of Faces.
The Book of Faces.
It's like mainland China, where they just a government of faces. Do you know about that? They had like they had facial recognition scanning every citizen in mainland China.
Oh yeah,
Really?
Yeah, like you know, like Minority Report kind of future where like everyone's being scanned all the time. They're doing that in China.
Wow.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Although, do you want to know something hilarious though? Did you know that the facial recognition is actually having a hard time distinguishing Chinese people from each other? So it turns out it's not racist a thing.
Yeah.
A lot of Chinese people look the same. Computers can't figure it out. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious when I heard that.
I was about to say something, but I didn't want to be racist. But
It's funny because it's like it's true though. Like people like when you're like a lot of like that's why it's so funny. I just watched a comedian last night named was it something started with a D, something Cole. I don't know. He's a black comedian and he makes a joke at one point about I think it was like lesbians. And he basically points out the fact that it's like, see, you don't need, like, I think he used the word dyke. That's what he said. Yeah. And he goes, see, you're all freaking out. You don't even know if that word's bad. I asked Wanda Sykes and she said it's fine. And it's like, and so it's funny because he was just talking about the fact that people are like silencing everyone over that kind of stuff. And it's like really like the majority of people that care are white women. Like even Asian people laugh at the fact that you know that the stand-up comedian on SNL that got fired. Started because he said the C word, the other C word, right? Yeah. And even Andrew Yang laughed about it, and it was like, oh my God, Andrew Yang is also racist. Like, no, he's who he's busting on. Yeah, like it's like if it's a funny joke, it's a funny joke. It doesn't matter.
yeah, I think Can't really say anything these days.
Well, yeah. Wait. What's your name on Facebook? Is it JD or is it
JD Gonzalez, yeah.
JD Gonzalez?
Don't really use Facebook, but
And in a Z or an S?
an S. An S.
Are you hunched over something?
Yeah.
Are you in San Diego?
Yes,
Yes,
I am.
sir.
Yes, I am.
There we go.
I'm widowed, apparently.
Are you?
No, it just says that on there.
Oh.
Like I said, I haven't used
Of
Facebook
course
in
it does.
years. I just use it to like message people.
Jeremy? Oh, wait, your name is Jeremy.
No, it's not.
It's not your
What's your last name?
Chisholm.
Okay.
He doesn't use Facebook at all.
No.
You don't use Facebook at all?
No.
Are you a serial killer?
Yeah, it might be.
I don't know. I'd have to ask my friend. It's like, who's your friend? The serial killer.
Has it on his job. You know how it's like it says their jobs on their Facebooks.
Yeah.
I'm a serial killer.
I think my job said I worked at Aperture Science.
Butcher Science.
No, Aperture Science.
Oh my god, that'd have been funny if it was Butcher Science.
Butcher science.
I'm a butcher
I'm a butcher of people.
in the woods.
Oh,
There
I
you
got
go.
it. Got it.
Yeah. So that's the thing I was just talking about. That's the Gary V content model. It's a slideshow that essentially shows you from the beginning where the first thing you do is create a podcast in video form and audio form. It's got 86 pages. It's like a slideshow, so it's just pictures. It's not like the Death by PowerPoint kind of slideshow. And essentially it starts off by creating the way that what he says a lot is document over create. So don't try to create things, document things, and then use the documentation to create things. Because people care a lot more about the back end than they used to, because there's so many companies out there. How are they gonna, like, the decision fatigue?
No.
So decision fatigue is just the concept of the more decisions you make, eventually your brain tires out and it physically can't make more decisions.
Oh, that makes sense.
And you ever hear of, what is it? Paralysis analysis, or wait, paralysis by analysis.
No.
So that's the same thing. Like, people overanalyze something until they literally can't make a decision because they spent all their time analyzing it. And so essentially, too many people, or there's too many companies out there that are trying to come up to be the next big whatever. And so in order for my brain to comprehend which one of you is better, I can't do it with numbers. There's too many of them. If you give me all the stats of your company that are better, it's not going to register. I need to care about you as a person and trust you as a person. And so the general marketing concept, and this has been around forever, is I need to know you, like you, and trust you.
Gotcha.
Right? So if I have no idea who you are, then it doesn't matter. Right? Now that I know you, do I like you? Because if I don't like you, I'm never going to learn to trust you. And liking you comes with the stuff like, oh, you also like Pokemon? That's awesome, right? Like, so it's like, that's the thing, that you build from. And so by just documenting what you're doing all the time, you're naturally going to be putting yourself up front a little more than your company, your product, your service, whatever it is you're trying to promote. And by doing that, people can just genuinely connect with you more. And now when you go, hey, by the way, if you happen to drink wine, I also sell wine, they'll be like, well, I definitely want to support you, right? Like for example, there's this chick on Instagram I follow because very tangential. Like, I was following, you know who Tom Bilyeu is?
Tom who?
Tom Bilyeu.
I don't think so.
Do you know what IT Comics is?
IT Comics. There are so many. I don't know.
1 second. Ugh. That one. There it is. Have you seen this?
Is that what's his name?
Steve Aoki?
Yeah. Is that Steve
Yeah.
Aoki?
Yeah, it's also his signature right there.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's really cool.
And then this is Jim Kruger. And then this is Tom Bilyeu that signed. So Jim Kruger is like an Eisner Award winning. Oh, no, that was not Jim Kruger. I didn't get his signature. I got Rat Pack.
Oh, okay.
Who's an artist. He actually follows me on Instagram, which is cool.
Wow.
But anyways, yeah. So what this comic is So, all right, to rewind, Tom Bilyeu is. Hold on, let me finish wrapping this up. Cool. Anyways, so do you know what Quest bars are? The food.
Yeah.
So he's the co-founder of that company. He is one. Yeah, it was him, his wife, and I think 2 other guys. And they made that company so fast that in the first 3 years it grew by over 25,000%.
Wow.
It was the fastest growing company amongst all industries in the world.
Wow.
And so now he's a multi-millionaire, hundreds of millions of dollars. He decided he wanted to make a difference in people's lives, so he created a company called Impact Theory. There's a YouTube channel, which, by the way, if you want your life changed, seriously watch it. It's a great show where he interviews like the greatest minds out there, whether they're military, athlete, musician, artist, entrepreneur, anything, like anyone who's great at something, right?
Yeah.
And the cool thing about this is tons of people do that now. Like, I don't know if you noticed all the podcasts out there that everyone's interviewing everybody, right? But what he does, and the reason why his show is so amazing, is instead of going like, "Hey, what's your name? What do you do?" And asking all the obvious questions that most people either know or it's just an introduction. What he does is in the first 30 seconds to maybe 2 minutes, I think is maybe the longest I've ever seen him do this, he will tell you every great thing that this person has ever accomplished.
Wow.
Then he sits them down for a 45-minute interview. So he basically bypasses all the easy questions, and they're all deep-rooted, heavy questions. And so it's an amazing show. From that, he then tangented off onto health theory, which he brings on the greatest health minds in the world, whether they're scientists, doctors, surgeons, things like that. Like he had the world's greatest heart surgeon on there, and at the very end of at the end of an impact theory episode, he'll be like, "What's the one impact you want to have on the world?" At the end of the health theory one, he asks, "What's the one thing people can do to make a massive change in their health?" And the heart doctor said, "Stop eating cashews."
What?
It turns out that cashews cause, if you eat it regularly over long periods of time, it causes massive amounts of cellular damage because our bodies are incapable of breaking them down properly without inflammation. Yeah. Wow. So there's shit like that you'll learn, and you'll be like, "Holy crap!" Right? Like that's like. So, and like other ones, another one was like, "Hey, what if I want to live to be 100 years old? What can you do?" And it's like, make better friendships. And they're like, that's how much, like, and this is somebody who studies like, cardiovascular stuff. They study muscular things, like all like skeletal things. Like, it's incredible what they know. And they're still like, after all that knowledge, it turns out that if you just have really good friends, really good relationships, that's how you'll live longer. Right.
Yeah.
So like cool shit like that. So he does this stuff to like impact the world, but it turns out he was building an audience because then he created a company called IT Comics based off of impact theory.
Yeah.
And he partnered with, or he's partnering with, like, they're not partners of the company, with various creators to create comics where his goal is to break people out of the matrix. You know, the red pill concept. That's like his goal in life, because he used to be like mentally broken down. Like he just didn't know, he thought he was a piece of shit essentially. And that's where he was going to stay. And then he ended up in 1999 watching The Matrix, and it like completely changed his life.
Really?
Yeah. And so because it was like the first little seed that started a thought process that branched off from that. So his goal is to create comic books. His goal is to create entertainment products that have a similar impact as The Matrix had on him. It's meant to make you think very deeply about things, like philosophically, while entertaining you. So, for example, when you watch a Disney movie, you know what to expect. It's going to be like a love story, a funny story. Like like if I just say Disney, you have an expectation.
Yeah.
Right. And so what he wants is he literally wants to create the same thing as Disney, but with impacting people's lives and making them, think deeper, learn, go for self-development, that kind of stuff. And he's like, I know it's going to take 50 years. Like he's already prepared. Like that's another reason he wants to live longer, right? Just so that he can make sure that it happens. And so he partnered with Steve Aoki for the first comic called Neon Future, based off of his albums Neon Future 1, 2, and 3. And it's a 6-part series. They just finished it a couple months ago, and you can now buy the whole book on their website of all 6 comics. Yeah. And I think they just started their newest comic that's not releasing until 2020, but at the New York Comic-Con last weekend, they released it just at the Comic-Con. So there's some people that have it, the bastards. But anyways, yeah. So if you want to look at like how to grow specifically an indie company, indie comic company, like he's the person. And you know what the awesome thing is? I accidentally found him on Instagram when he had like less than 50,000 followers. He now has 1 million, but he had less than 50,000, and this was only a few years ago. And I actually had several conversations with him. I actually met him in New York Comic-Con last year and talked with him and his wife for hours. It was awesome. And I found out later that like he's a huge fan of Gary. He was actually on Gary V's show at one point because he has a podcast. Yeah. And he talked about the fact that he literally just emulated Gary, and that's how he built Impact Theory. And that's also how he grew Quest Nutrition back in the day by doing what Gary was doing back then.
Really?
Right? So like, yeah, so literally like Gary's the guy that has all the knowledge, but Tom is showing you how to actually implement it in the sense that he's literally doing it for an indie comic company right now. Wow. Right? And all he had was his name, which nobody really knew him as a name. He just exploded by because of the connections he had. So he utilized that to make a show, Impact Theory, to grab people's attention, because that's the one thing Greg and I talk about. Super easy to find an indie comic creator. Yeah. Very difficult to find an indie comic fan. Because do you know who an indie comic fan looks like?
Creators.
Yeah, because like, do you know what an indie comic fan looks like? What they think about?
Nope.
Everything. They could be a lawyer. They could be a janitor. They could be an engineer. They could be a doctor. They could be a teacher. It doesn't matter. Everyone likes escapism, and it just to each their own, right? It's like that hidden little thing that they like, but you can't know what the front end looks like, right? And so what he did was he was smart and just grabbed such a large audience, and then he goes, by the way, I create comics. If you happen to like comics, you should buy them from me, right? Yeah. And so it's funny because when we first started our company, it was literally at the same exact time he started building his, and we didn't realize it. And what ended up happening was he actually I created a survey to send out to people to ask them like, hey, like how, like what would you be willing to pay for a monthly subscription to a comic book company, right? Stuff like that. And I just sent him that link and was like, hey, look, I'm working hard, because he was doing his Impact Theory thing, and I was like, you know, like, look at, you're motivating me kind of thing. And he actually messaged me back and he goes, oh, I filled it out. And I was like, what? And he actually filled out our survey. And we have it still. It just says Tom, because obviously he's not going to put his full name and his email address in there, so we have access to that. And like, oh, look, Tom supports us, right? Yeah. He can do that. So I understand it. But I have the message when he sent it, and like a minute later, I looked on the thing and I had his his answers. And that's actually how we chose our price, because we had a bunch of people respond, but the price that we were thinking about, he confirmed, and we were like, well, shit, we're charging that then. Yeah. Like especially after we found out that he was in fact building IT Comics, because I found that out even later, and I'm like, holy shit, this was so perfect that he answered it, because he answered it before I knew he was building it. Yeah. So like it was like, oh, that means you've been thinking about it. You know what I mean? I was like, that answer is so much more valuable, because I know that you're a huge time entrepreneur. You've been thinking about what that might cost. And so your answer is perfect. I was like, that's all, because we put various prices and he chose that one. And I was like, fuck yeah. So, but anyways, but what he does too, like I said, is he just built an audience around like what he does, which is interviewing people. But your thing can be about anything. And just by getting people to look at you, you can then go, by the way, we make comics.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you're your first brand, right?
Yeah, and well, that's the biggest thing. Was originally Quest Nutrition was only Quest Nutrition, and the second he put his face out front, the thing exploded.
Really?
And yeah, because that's the thing, is people love people. People don't buy, people don't buy what they they don't always buy what they need, although obviously they will get what they need eventually, but like what one of the thing that they need. And they're going to go with somebody they like. And that's it. Like the second he released the comic, I went to the convention. I bought all 6 variant covers. I have a poster on my wall.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have a T-shirt. I think I can't find that one at the moment. That's something that's probably in there. Oh, my dad has it right here. No, because I got something spilled on us. My dad's trying to get there's like glue on it or something. Yeah, so I got a T-shirt, and probably got something else. I don't remember. But yeah, I got a ton of stuff from him though, and like the whole point is like because I wanted him to have money, and I happen to like all those things.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm like, you gave me so much. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, I bought all of his books. I have a poster over there. I have one T-shirt I won from him for free, so I bought another one because I felt bad. I've won a signed copy of his book twice, so I have two signed copies. I have one that's still in the bag, and then I have I don't know where the other one is actually. Oh, it's over there. Yeah, so I have two signed versions of his book. So one I'm going to do a giveaway later of, and but yeah, so I bought all of his books, and he doesn't even do online courses because he gives away all of his information for free. It's ridiculous. So I'm like, how do I give you money? And then he's like, I sell wine now because he's the wine guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, shit, I don't drink wine. I bought his shoes. One second. He's the first like entrepreneur that didn't start in like music or something.
Yeah.
They're in the hall. I'm not grabbing them. That's too far away. I bought 3 pairs of his shoes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They're like 3 different versions. But it's like I needed to give him my money because of how much value he's given me. And in fact, I started selling stuff on eBay to make money because he inspired me to do it. Right. Wow. So it's like that's the whole point. Like he's giving me so much value up front, completely free. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know my name. He's never met me. Right. And yet he has so that means he has no expectation of me either. And yet I still feel obligated to give him stuff. Right. Yeah. And it's because of the fact that he's already given me so much stuff that like it's like well paid for. You know what I mean? It's like I'm basically paying for his services and getting collectibles in the meantime.
That's funny.
Yeah, so definitely I would say stuff like this, doing videos on podcasts, obviously being on other people's podcasts, that's another great way to do it. Mm-hmm. But just creating a lot of content that provides value for other people, whether it's entertainment value, whether it's knowledge value, that's something that what the hell's the name of that? Shit. We actually had them on as a podcast. They have a whole YouTube channel. It's IndieCom TV.
IndieCom TV. Oh, I think I remember seeing that. Yeah, I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're on YouTube, and they're basically doing a bunch of stuff. But one of the things that we talked to them about, and if they don't do it, we'll eventually do it. And honestly, we might even just do it with our creators. Like if you guys have an idea for a video, and we just make it so that, because basically, like the issue is that most indie creators don't have the time to make massive amounts of content. Where like Gary Vaynerchuk literally has somebody. He's called D-Rock. He's actually famous because of this. Who follows him around with a camera and records everything he does and later splices it into videos.
Wow.
Yeah, and so because of that, he has stupid amounts of content available, right? And so anyways, the point though is that it's hard for individual creators to create that much content. So that's the one thing we've been trying to help is by creating one pool of the area where everything kind of just settles down towards us. We can still push people back to wherever they are. But the point is that if we get a YouTube video from all of our creators on one platform, we grow a large enough audience that somebody who saw the first video might now see this video. And so even though they might not have been interested in that one, maybe this is the creator they like, right? Yeah. And so that's the thing that we realized, like I was saying, kind of like Tom Bilyeu, he built an audience of millions of followers. And then he goes, by the way, I sell comics. And obviously millions of people don't buy comics. Millions of people do buy comics, but of his particular fan base, not all of them buy comics.
No. Yeah.
But there's bound to be, based on the number, indie comic book fans. So our goal is to capture as many indie comic book fans across every genre, every style that they like, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's graphic novels, mangas, things like that. Whether it's horror, superhero, adventure, things like that. And because we have such a large pool, we'll be able to go, hey, here's all the adventure, and then they can narrow down to the sub niche that they want to.
Yeah.
And that's how we're hoping to gain fans for our creators, is by just being a pool where they can all collect.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like making the pond for the fish so that our creators can go fishing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the big fish in a little pond or whatever, like that.
Yeah.
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 We're kind of like hoping to create our own pond.
Yeah, because like you said, it's just like, who likes indie comics? You know, who what do they look like? Who are they? And that's kind of like what I was struggling with, is just like, because basically all our followers are just other creators, or like maybe just one or two other, like 10 other just actual people that like actually like our comics. I think there's only one true fan of ours that actually like really likes our comic book, and he's like a really cool guy. Not that I know him, but I mean.
By the way, it's funny though. Whoever that guy is, you should make sure you talk to him all the time. Try to do an interview like this where you talk with him and record it and put it on your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's something that what's his face? Gary Vaynerchuk talked about this. I don't. Do you listen to hip hop at all?
A little bit.
Do you know who? What is it? DaBaby is. He's coming out huge right now.
Yes.
That's fine. You don't have to like him. The point is that he's getting huge right now.
Oh yeah, he is.
And specifically Gary Vaynerchuk, he thinks that hip hop rules the world. So he like literally connects with every up and coming artist that he thinks might become something, and gives them free advice.
Wow.
Like he'll bring them in and like, fly them in and be like, hey, sit down with me. I just want to talk with you. And so that's what I mean by like he gives out free advice. He brought in DaBaby and he's actually talking with him. But the thing that he said was, what you want to do is every single, like, because he's so big, he can narrow it down. But when you're growing, every individual fan, and Steve Aoki actually talked about this, his first couple times performing was for like less than 5 people.
Wow.
But when he was done performing, he was like, yo, what'd you think? Like, that's, like, what'd you like about it? What didn't you like? Like, he was so engaged with those 4 people, because you know what? Those are the 4 people that will become the 40 people.
Yeah.
Right? They're not in the room right now, but it's only because they haven't heard of you, because these 4 people haven't told you yet. But if he can get them to like you so much that they can't stop talking about you. So eventually he's performing for rooms for like 20 to 30 people. Still not a lot of people. But what ends up happening is those rooms are filled with people that really like him, and he ends up staying at one of their houses one time because they're just living in their van while they're traveling, right? And so that's how he grew, is just doing that. Like, just whenever you have one fan, give them all the love in the world. like if they comment on anything, comment back a conversation, not just thanks, right? Like, so definitely an amazing way to build a fan base. Because the other thing too is whether or not they tell someone to, like, oh, you should follow them, right? Literally, someone seeing that how engaged you are with that individual could be like, oh man, these guys really give a shit about people. Let's see what else they do, right? Like, so that's definitely that right there is definitely the biggest takeaway for that, is be super engaged with even the 1-2 fans that you have. Doesn't matter. Like, because that's the thing is, you're right. Indie creators, basically, we noticed a lot of indie creators literally just shuffle money around during Kickstarters. That's all they're really doing. They're kind of just going back and forth, giving it to each other, right? And so it's just delaying who is broke at the moment, right?
True.
But if you want to get people that are giving you money because they actually believe in your stuff, that's how you do it. Because, like, to be honest, so I do marketing as my side company.
Oh, really?
Like, that's my main company. Honestly, that's where I make money. I work from home. That's why I can do this kind of stuff whenever, basically. But I try to make sure I'm doing a lot of work. But like, I have the entire you see the bottom of my monitor? See all those colors?
Oh yeah.
That's the entire Adobe Master Collection.
Oh, the suite.
Yeah, I have the master collection though. It's all of them.
Oh wow.
So I have what is it? Flash, Illustrator, Bridge, Fireworks, Dreamweaver, Auditions, SpeedGrade, Prelude, Photoshop, Encore, After Effects. What is that one? Premiere Pro, and what is it? InDesign. And I also know how to use all of them. Right. So that's the thing. It's like that's like, I'm very good at marketing, but because of the fact that I know that Greg, like, I'm like a comic enthusiast. I'm not someone that goes out and buys comics, so I'm not the ideal fan, right?
Yeah.
I'm very good at writing, so I can help Greg craft his stories. I'm not good at coming up with stories to begin with, but I'm very good at cleaning them up. And so I just basically trained Greg on how to do marketing for indie comics. And now that's the reason, like, I'd say we probably have like 10 solid fans that like comment on most of our stuff that aren't just indie creators.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because they're not even all people that have bought stuff from us. So they're not technically true fans, which is, have you ever heard of that? The 1,000 True Fans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. It's an article by Kevin Kelly. It's one of the most referenced articles for growing a business, because essentially if you have 1,000 true fans, then you can make a living off of whatever you're doing. But if you build that 1,000 true fans to a larger number, you can make a fortune off of what you love doing, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, basically that's the whole thing. Though, is I just had him like fully engage with everyone. I'm like, you don't even need to worry about the tech stuff. I'll handle the difficult stuff, right? But like honestly, the hard part is him messaging every single person. Like for our indie comic creator, he got blocked on Facebook like 15 times during the campaign.
Yeah, he told me about that.
Yeah, because he was messaging so many people, commenting with so many people, commenting in groups and all that stuff that they literally like they'll ban you after a while because they think you're a bot. And so like that's how much work he put in that they thought he was a computer.
Oh, funny. Wow.
Yeah, so like that, like, and so like that's the thing. It's like, but if you can just do that with a couple people, like that's how you really get people. Like I think we had a couple people give us like $100. Like that was crazy. Like that blew my mind. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Like that, that, and it wasn't anybody that we like that was like a friend or family member. It was somebody that we met online that we connected with. So it's like it's incredible.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So just I definitely it's long-winded, but I like to like just color that so you can understand how effective that is. Just
that's
people and like that shit's so good.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely hard, but like I think that's just what you have to do. That's like the goal, is to be interesting with people and stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I'd say I would just follow that content model, start doing long form stuff like this, break it apart into all of the platforms, and that's how you'll have something for someone to look at. But then definitely just go out and start engaging with people, and that'll be the best way to get them to look at the stuff you're creating.
One thing that I really wanted to do for like us is just because I really wanted to do like a Twitch thing, I know that like Twitch is
for what specifically, because you can do a ton of stuff on Twitch.
Yeah, totally. And we're just really good, like not good, but we like playing video games, and we just always have interesting conversations.
Yeah. And
I think like what you're talking about is like kind of like that. It's just
that's 100% what I'm talking about. In fact,
like we could have just recorded some of those.
Do you want to hear something hilarious? One of the things that Gary Vaynerchuk suggested to DeBaby was to go play on Twitch.
Really?
Yeah, because he already plays video games. Now all of a sudden people can play with you. They can watch you, right? Like that's they fucking love that. They're like, dude, this is the guy I follow, right?
Yeah.
I had some guy on Twitch because I do Twitch streaming as well, although I haven't in like a month, so I'm sure I got some people pissed off right now. But I had people on there that apparently followed me since I don't know the second week that I started, and I started like 6 months ago, and all of a sudden. I was playing a game that they played, and they hopped and they're like, "Oh, can I play?" And I'm like, "I don't have anyone else on right now." Sure, all my slots are empty. So they hopped on there and like, "Oh man, I've been following you for like weeks. Like this is awesome. I can't believe I get to play with you. It's actually you." And I'm like, "It's just like who am I? I got like 50 followers. Like I got more accidental friends on Facebook. Like So that's the thing. It's like. You never know that one random fan that just loves the shit out of yourself. And so like it's so funny too, because for me it was like because if you what kind of games do you play?
Borderlands.
Borderlands. What was the other one?
Like a lot of co-op, just like 2-player games like that we
that's awesome. Like co-op is actually a category in Twitch, so it's easier to get ranked for, right? It's very hard to get stuff like COD, even though first-person shooters one. It's just so many people play it.
Yeah,
the odds, unless you're either extremely amazing or extremely charismatic, either like funny, super angry, something like that when you play, Like you're not going to gain an audience doing that. But if you want to start on Twitch, what I'd recommend doing is you go to Twitch, go to browse, go to a genre or category that you like, look up a game that has a decent number of viewers, but not so many that it'd be hard to capture, and look at their top-rated videos. And if the top-rated videos only have like 1,000 viewers instead of like 80,000, that means that would be a game you could probably hop into and steal some audience members from.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I'll have to find it. I got some. If you want, shoot me a message on Facebook about Twitch, and I'll have to look it up later. It's there's like a thing of like how to get big on Twitch fast, because like I didn't do it intentionally. What ended up happening was I was playing COD, I was playing Rocket League, I was playing what was the other game I played, like Mortal Kombat, something like that. And all of a sudden, one of my friends who is a gamer suggested a game called Dauntless. And Dauntless is made by Epic Games, the same people who make Fortnite. But this game is like Monster Hunter. Have you seen that game? Yeah, but it's made by Epic Games, so it's a little more cartoonish. But there's not as many people play that. So I hopped on there, and in 2 weeks I reached affiliate. So now I can get paid to play games.
Wow.
Yeah. All because I was playing a game that, first off, I could invite people, because I could do playing with viewers. That's one of the tags you can have. And then people can join your thing and go, hey, can I join you? Right? So I had playing with viewers. I played with a couple people. Some people really had fun with it. In fact, the cool thing was I had my I just realized you can't see that now anymore. So see my bookshelf?
Wow.
Yeah, I read a lot. But basically, what ended up happening was that bookshelf used to be right behind me while I played video games, and somebody joined the lobby, and he just saw that. He's like, "Oh shit, like you a reader?" And I was like, "Yeah, a little bit." And we ended up talking like business while we were playing.
Really?
Yeah, like, and it was ridiculous. I was like, "Yeah, definitely have to hit you up later about this stuff." That's what happened while playing a video game.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing. And then I found out that one of the genres on Twitch is literally business. So I might actually end up for myself creating a channel where I talk about business, and I literally just have conversations like this, talking business stuff, and just live stream it. If someone wants to join, they can. If nobody joins, I don't care. I was going to do it anyways, right? And that's literally how I got onto Twitch. I was like, I actually felt bad. I was spending so much time playing video games with my little brother, who is right now in Japan with the Marines. So I wanted to spend time with him, but I felt guilty I wasn't working on my business. So I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do it, the way I can get around feeling guilty is I'll create a Twitch account. That way I'm at least building something.
Yeah.
And that's all I did. And then in like 6 months, I reached affiliate status. Although ironically, it only took the 2 weeks to reach it, because I only had like 10 followers. Then all of a sudden it was like 20, 30, 50. And I was like, what the hell? And it was all from that one game, right? So, it was so funny. Actually, I did a 24-hour live stream too, trying to get to 50. And I did not get to 50 that night. I got to like 44, I think. Because I think that night I started with 27. And I got all the way up to 44. And I was so stoked. I'm like, I'm just going to keep on playing. It's like 24 hours. And then 24 hours hit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. It was like 24 hours and 6 minutes. But so there's tons of fun stuff you can do with that, and that's why you should be on all the social platforms, so that people can gain access to you. That's what Gary's on every platform. He has a blog on his own page, but he's also on Medium, which is like the blog social media. You know what Medium is?
No.
It's literally like. So Facebook, you can have pictures and videos like as your posts for your feed. This is just blogs.
Oh, gotcha. Wow.
Yeah. So you can go and never write a blog and just look at other people's blogs like people do when they stalk people on Facebook, right? But the point is, like, it's like there could be, news articles, they could be business articles, they could be whatever, but people just blog on there. But instead of always having to go, nope, you got to go to my website to see it. He's like, fuck it. If you're going to be on Medium, I'm going to be on Medium, right? And that's what I mean. Like, you should be on every platform just so people have access to you. And then you use that content model to make it easier to be on all the platforms, right? Yeah. You take one video and you break it up into 8,000 pieces of content. Because at the end, I think, did he say how many he's able to break it into? Because I think he took one 1 hour keynote speech, and he breaks it into, come on, it's not so slow. Oh my God, that's a lot of information. Yeah, you should definitely go through this later, though. I'm trying to just figure out where's the list of all these platforms he's on. Yeah, so the pillar content is on Facebook, podcast, YouTube, and Instagram TV. So that's where like the big pieces of content are. And then he makes micro content and stories on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. And then he makes articles on Quora, Medium, his website, maybe that's what that's supposed to be, email newsletter, and LinkedIn, right? Wow. So like you can break that across all of these, and like that's from just one piece of content.
Yeah.
And so definitely hugely powerful. And if you want like a quick, easy way to do it, start with something like recording yourself and then doing Instagram TV, because IGTV, if you don't have more than 10,000 followers, you can only have a 10-minute video. But if you record and get a 9-minute video, that's long form content for some people, right? Like, but like he'll do an hour. But the point is, if you get a good 9-minute one and you get a good screenshot in there at the end, like you find a good spot, snap, right? Maybe you make a GIF out of it. Like there's apps to make GIFs, right? You make a little GIF of someone that, pointing over and over again, and then you have some funny saying, or maybe the quote you were saying when you did that. So yeah, that's how you do it. And then like, well, I'm actually hoping, I was talking to Greg about this, and do you know New Leaf Comics?
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to be trying to work with them, and they're going to be the first test dummies of which they're aware of, but it's just funny. Like I'm going to be trying to make it so that I can create a platform in which they'll give me content, and then I will do this. I will break it apart and mass put it on all their platforms.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to build, because I want to be able to do that for anyone. But if I can do it simple enough for indie comic creators, I think that would be incredible. Like that would be something like, say like 100, 200, even if it's $500 a month, if it's like an incredible value, right? Like if I'm doing a ton, because typically for like marketing for a company, I'll charge like $1,000 to $2,000 a month. But I know for indie creators, like that's not feasible, because they're not going to see money for like a year.
Yeah.
It's going to take forever, right?
Yeah.
So unless I'm literally just marketing a Kickstarter campaign, which unless they're asking for more than $1,000 to pay me back for, right? Like they're going to go negative for it. Then it's a different story. But it's definitely something that I want to have built out by the end of this year. So January, I want to have that. And January.
That's a good idea. Really. Because that's super difficult for me, because it's like right now it's just me doing Instagram, and then like I just turn on the just post a Facebook thing, and then I'll message him and be like, okay, post on Twitter. And it's just like it's almost such, because I already have like a job and a half, and he's already working so much. It's just like,
what do you guys do normally anyways?
So I have I'm in between jobs right now. So I'm actually a graphic designer and at a t-shirt printing shop. Yeah.
What do you do for graphic design? The reason I ask is because, like I said, I'm trying to create this platform. My goal. So, like I said, I know how to do all of this stuff. But I'd rather be able to pay someone else so I could spend all my time managing the client and working on the marketing. But say I get a client who wants graphic design work, that's why I'm asking, what exactly do you do?
Well, all our graphics I've done, everything that you've seen. I did all the logos. I made our logo. I made the Ether and Crossbones logo, which the Ether logo has just been updated 2 days ago. I do, logo design. I do business cards.
You updated which one recently?
The Ether one. We have the Ether logo on our website, but that's the older one. We need to update that.
You also updated the Crossbones one too, right?
Just a little bit. It's basically the same logo, but that's what I do. I do logo design. I do T-shirts. So I take people's designs. So I sit with people, and I make them their designs.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah. So there's the logo right there. If you wanted to show him, so there's a new logo.
Nice.
So yeah. So what else do I do? Pretty much just anything. We're a one-stop shop for T-shirts or promotional items. and so I do all that stuff. So yeah.
Do you make the items, or do you just design the items?
I design the items, so like whatever logo you want, like say you want your logo on a pen, I'll do the logo and then I'll make it so where it's able to be on the pen, and then we'll ship it out and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have a company that you do the promo stuff through, like meaning the items?
Yeah. I can
so for example, say I go to you and I go, I want a pen. I want a pen with my logo on it. Are you just designing that and giving it back to me, or are you designing it and ordering the pen for me?
We order the pen.
Cool. And is that through the company you work for, or do you do that?
I don't do that. I just do strictly design work. So it's
no. I mean, because you were saying that you're working for a company. I'm saying, is it the company that does the ordering?
Yeah, they order it. Yeah.
Do you know the company that they order through?
I know a lot of companies, like a lot of websites they use. I don't know all of them. So they do 4over. You can write these all down. So use them all. We use 4over. We use B2 signs for like banners and signs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We use Printograph. We use
is that Print2graph, like the number 2?
Printograph.
Oh, Printograph.
Printograph, yes, or Got Print. There's a lot of them, but I can give you all these websites. But I think the thing is that you need to have a business license. So I'm pretty sure you guys have one.
Well, this is for my company. This is for where the hell is my
for the merchandising stuff.
Yeah.
Or marketing.
Yeah, marketing or promotional items.
Yeah, see, this is my company.
ADD. That's what I got.
Yeah.
I got ADD.
Yeah, I'm ADHD as well. That's why it's funny. And it's the reason why it's clever too is actually, did I put the slogan on this? No, I didn't. I haven't, because I was still debating about the slogan, but the slogan was "Let our distraction be your success."
That's hilarious.
Because we create ads, and what's an ad supposed to do? It's supposed to get your attention. It's supposed to distract you, right?
That's hilarious. I like that.
It's funny too, because there's I came up with this idea with my friend like forever ago. He's no longer involved. He didn't want to do it because he's lazy. But I ended up picking up the mantle.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, basically, what I'm looking to do is a lot of stuff. I'm probably going to go through like, stuff like Fiverr, Upwork, that stuff to get like virtual assistants who will do managing stuff for me. So for example, let's say I would hire like a local videographer to shoot the video of the client's whatever, right? I would then put it to my assistant, and then they would distribute it amongst all the people I need to break this down. So there might be like a reviewer who goes through and finds some clips, right? Then that person will then forward it off to a creator, right? And that's the kind of the chain I want to create. So the point is that I still need people to do graphic design. Like I do web design, but I want other people to do. I actually have a web designer that I'm trying to work with, but he's not consistent. Huh?
We need to update our website.
Yeah. I do, like, that's probably the one skill that I excelled the most at now. Like that's the one I built. Like I built our website, for example, so I had to create all the back end for the comic books and and so all that. So it's like, that's the thing I built out. But it's funny because that's the thing I enjoy it the most when I make it. Yeah. But it takes up so much time. I just want someone else to do it. Yeah, because and the other thing too is like I'm very good like raw coding as well. Like I've created stuff that there aren't plugins for. Yeah. And so that's why like I'm very good at web development, but I know there's a lot of template stuff out there that people can use to do some of the stuff I do much faster. Yeah. And so I'm kind of like slowly caving to the templates.
Yeah. As long as it's not cashews.
Oh, cashews.
Call back.
Yeah, no, pecans.
Pecans. That's good. I think those are good for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
so what does Jesse do?
I work at Target. I work the night crew.
Yeah.
So I offload the trucks and stuff like that, and I train the new people.
Nice. Fun. Yeah, you guys. So one thing that both of you should definitely look into, and the way that I learned all of these skills is first of either YouTube, which is super helpful, but the way that I got really, really good at these to the point where I was able to, like, I charge like a minimum if I'm building a site from scratch, $1,500. Like, I won't charge less than that.
Wow.
And so, and that's not always the case. I once built one completely for free. That was probably one of my best ones too, ironically.
Wow.
And then I built another one for like $350, and I took it over like 7 months of payments. You know, so I worked small first, but now it's like I want half up front, half when I'm done, and 1,500 is the minimum barrier. Like I've turned away clients that wouldn't, like, I was at 3,000 and they're like, we'll, you know, what about 2,000? I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. It's a waste of my time. So it all depends on what they want, but like a base site, like just a simple site, I'll still do 1,500. And the way I got good at those skills, there's a site called Udemy, and I don't know if you ever used it or not. It's UDEM. Actually, I'll Facebook message it to you real quick. I highly recommend it though, because I learned how to make ebooks. I learned how to do After Effects. I learned how to do where you at here? I learned how to do web design to the degree that I know it now. Like I know PHP code, and I know what is it? SQL coding and all that. So where is it? Udemy.com. Oh, it didn't make the link. That's weird. Why didn't it make the link?
Look at it.
I'm going to send it with the link.
Yeah, it is. Click on that. I just liked it.
Nice. But yeah, so on there's tons of stuff. Like, I don't know what you're interested in life, but like, say, like, I'm assuming you don't want to work at Target forever.
God, no.
Literally, like, if you want to become a game developer, there's a course on here that is 78 hours long that will teach you how to go all the way from physically designing characters all the way to coding how those characters move and integrating it into a gaming system.
Wow.
That is
right. So like whatever you're passionate about, like this site has something on there, and if it doesn't, you know, there's other sites I could recommend. But there's like some crazy stuff on there. Like even drawing, like if you guys are comic creators and like obviously you do graphic design already, you know, like getting books like that, how to draw like Marvel, and just getting a little better at it, so that maybe you can do cover art on Fiverr. Maybe you know what I mean, until you build a portfolio, and then you put that stuff on Craigslist. You start getting people that are local. You put it on Facebook Marketplace, and then you can create a Facebook page. Like I got like Greg is a perfect example, although he stopped doing it. I got him. I think he's made $300 writing stories on I think it was Fiverr.
wow.
Yeah,
Good
like, he never talks about that either, but he made like $300 doing it, because like at first it was like $5, $10, $25, right? Like for a story. And some of them are like short comic books. They're like 10-page comics he's writing the background story to. The guy's like, here's the character, here's a unique trait about him. He needs to die, and it's in an alley. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's all they'll give him, and he has to write a story on it, and he'll do it, give it to him. They're like, this is awesome. Here's $25. And it's like crazy. So that's the thing, is like you can get you can build small, like that's literally how I created this company. I worked as a mechanical engineer before I started this company. Like not even close to what I'm doing now, right? So and not only that, by the time I left, I was an electrical engineer, right? So I was building all this stuff on the side, mostly through like, because I do business consulting and marketing consulting. Like there was a guy here today. So I just moved to Nashville, right? One of my roommates has a piano, and he hired a guy to come and do piano tuning, like to tune the piano. And I found out that there's another local company that has like 50 people, and this guy's a solo guy trying to compete with him. And I'm like, well, I bet they're on Google Ads, but I bet they don't do Facebook ads. Well, you know, here's my business card. I might get a client now that could pay me maybe $500 a month if I can get him 10 clients a month. He charges $100 for piano tuning. If I can double what he pays me, Why not, right? So, so anyways, so that's the thing. It's like I learned all those skills online. Like I learned marketing through several courses. There, actually, if you want to get really good at marketing, there's
Yes, I do.
I never even finished this course, but the little amount that I did was amazing. And then I just dove super deep into Facebook ads. So now I'm also, so I have a friend who lives in San Francisco. She makes thousands of dollars a month doing ads, and she calls me for advice.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I know what I'm talking about, but I just have to work on building my clientele. But where the hell is it? It's called what is it? I want to say it's the complete digital. Oh, why is that? Where'd it go? Oh, I hit this. So there it is. The complete digital marketing course. There it is. Yeah, this thing goes through everything. And like I said, I haven't even finished it. I've only gotten a third of the way through it, and it's still like the third that I got through is amazing. Yeah. And by the way, right now it's $200. It always goes on sale for $10. Like so just watch it, like just keep going and visiting it. I already own it, so that's the only reason why I can get it. But yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is once you buy it, you have it forever. So you don't have to watch it now. Oh, look at that. WikiBuy has 30 codes for Udemy. That's cool. I have a plugin that like tells me if I have codes on a site. Anyways, yeah, so it goes over where's the list? Where the hell's the list? They keep changing this site. It's a great site, but they keep messing with me every once in a while. Description. Yeah, this one has 23 and a half hours of video too. Oh, there we go. Content. It goes over. So it does an introduction. Then it has how to do market research, how to make a website. I think with like in under an hour. How to do email marketing. How to get good at copywriting. How to improve search engine optimization. How to do YouTube marketing. How to do Facebook marketing, Twitter marketing, Quora marketing, Google AdWords / Google Ads, Google Analytics, Instagram marketing, Pinterest marketing, LinkedIn marketing, Facebook ads, so the actual paid ads, app marketing, and then there's like a series of old content, I think, yeah. And then there's like a conclusion that sums it all up. Yeah, so like it covers it's literally called the Complete Digital Marketing Course, 12 courses in one. And it has like a stupid amount of information. So that I think did I send that to you? Yeah. So that one, like I said, wait till it goes on sale for like maybe it's $12. I know it drops super low though. Yeah, and the thing is like people don't realize that's 23 and a half hours. That's almost the equivalent of taking a marketing course in college.
Pretty much.
In fact, I did it. I think it's 28 and a half hours. Or 28 hours is how long a typical college course is throughout the semester.
Yeah.
And I've taken like 3 of those types of courses that are like 28 and a half hours long. Mm-hmm. So like the one I learned how to do WordPress development, PHP code, SQL, that was 28 hours long, and I did the whole thing in a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
And now I'm like, I actually the most money I've ever been paid to do anything related to web development was getting paid $65 an hour to consult a company on WordPress.
$65 an hour. Wow.
And it cost me $10.
Wow.
$10 and a month of going through online courses.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah. So that's the thing. It's like, so you don't have to like, get good at coding to make a lot of money. That just happened to be what I did. But like, the point is like copywriting, for example, if you get really good at copywriting, you can get paid whatever you want to charge. Like there's people that charge $100 an hour to do copyright.
Yeah.
Like, or $100. Because the other thing is eventually you don't want to charge per hour. The goal is to eventually charge per your time. So like now, like I'll charge $1,500 for a website, but if you want me to work on the website indefinitely, it's like $50 an hour. Like, because I'll charge a lot, like, which I've done. Like, I've had people that they need some work done. I'm like, I'm $50 an hour, and they're like, that's fine, and I'll work for a couple hours, make $100.
Wow.
Like, yeah, so it's super, which is funny because that's way more than I made as an engineer. So Yeah, so that's the thing is like if you want to like first off not work at Target, which is definitely a good one, and if you want to get much better at graphic design to the point where like you can do whatever the hell you want, definitely there's tons of great graphic design courses. There's actually a course I'm taking now that's like drawing, and I actually the very first thing he walks you through drawing is like an eyeball, and it was like phenomenal. I think I have it in my Instagram stories, like the highlights or whatever, because it was so ridiculous. I was like. Because don't get me wrong, I when I was younger, I was actually really good at art. So I'm sure I had a little bit left over, but I haven't drawn in like a decade. So like the fact that I was still able to do this was crazy. Yeah, here it is. Where's the eye? Yeah, like I drew that.
Wow, really good.
Yeah, like I don't know how close I can get so you can see all the details in the iris.
Yeah.
But like like that's crazy. That was like maybe. I want to say I did that in less than 10 minutes.
No way.
Yeah, so like it was like so that was like one guy who's teaching a art course on the website, and I never even finished the course. I only got through like one section of his 10-section course.
Yeah.
Right. So like there's amazing things on there, and I do that all the time where like I'll randomly learn a skill like that, and I can utilize that later, even that little bit that I did.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to like not work for somebody else, that's how you do that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you watch people like that Impact Theory show or like Tim Ferriss, and then you actually another good one. You guys read it all? You like reading?
Kind of. Comic books.
If you ever want to actually maybe one more. I read one more. You don't have to read all of these, but even if you just look these up and you come across the stuff that they talk about, these 4 books, if you want to never work for someone again, would change your life.
Wow.
So whether or not you like to read, falling over. Whether or not you like to read, if you literally want to change your life, these 4 books would do it.
All right.
Yeah.
4-hour work week.
Yeah. I'll go. Was it? So there's the 7-day startup. This one I would probably read last after you get all the information, because this is basically like, oh, I've spent all this time learning a bunch of stuff. Now what do? It's like, do it in 7 days, start a business.
Wow.
Then there's the 4-hour work week, which this is the concept of the new rich, which literally like this was written in 2009. Like, those travel bloggers.
Yeah.
He's basically the inspiration for it. This guy has written 6 best-selling books. This was his first one. He has one of the #1 podcasts of all time called The Tim Ferriss Show. And he has like the best people in the world on it. So there's that one. Side Hustle is a book of other people who have created side hustles while they were working another job and ended up turning them into full-time incomes.
Wow.
So like one lady, those chalk hearts you get on Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Did you ever see ones that say custom printed stuff on them?
Yeah.
You used to be able to do that back in the day, but it would take like you'd have to like order them months in advance from the company.
Yeah.
This one woman tried to do that, realized the issue, ordered a device from China that cost about $1,000, and she did it herself. People liked it so much, she ended up growing that and expanding it, and the next year she made $180,000 in a week.
Wow.
That's what this book, yeah. So this book helps with that. Just coming up with ideas. He has a whole podcast. If you like listening to podcasts, 10 minutes or less a day. He has a podcast every day for like the last 400 days. Yeah, but they're like 10-minute podcasts. They're great little podcasts. They're not videos. You can just listen to the audio. And he just goes over a business or a person, what they were stuck in, how they created their little side gig, how much it makes, and all that stuff. Right.
Yeah.
This is actually an earlier book that this same author wrote, the Side Hustle one, and it's called The $100 Startup. This is probably one of the best little books to read because it's also an enjoyable read. He gives you some examples, but he also gives you practical advice on how to just create a little startup. And it doesn't mean like a tech startup, even though a lot of people think about it that way. It's like just little small businesses. Like this picture on the back of the bike is about a guy who went to a furniture store who was getting rid of all their mattresses. He bought them for super cheap, and then he delivered them by bicycle to people's houses on his back on a bicycle. He would deliver them to people's houses, and that's how he started his business. People liked it so much, he ended up getting, like, I think he ended up, he had to expand. He had to get, like, more bicycles or whatever. Like, so very cool. But this one here, actually, one second. This one here has the best online resources for free. One second. This, or no, what is it? 100 startup. So this guy's website, if you go to it and then you go to resources, there's a whole section like the one-page business plan, which if you haven't done for your guys' company, create a business plan. I highly recommend you do. It's super effective. Then there's the 39-step launch plan. That's what we did to get $2,100 for our Kickstarter.
Wow.
I literally told Greg, I'm like, follow these steps, it'll work. And he did it. He found out only really 21 of them worked because some of them aren't specific enough for what we were doing, but it doesn't matter. He went through all of them. And of those, he ended up, getting double what we asked for, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, then the last one would be the 7-day startup, which is just like basically how to go from you have an idea, how to get it off the ground. So like, I think there's like day 1, pick a name, day 2, create a website, day 3, make a logo. Day 4, write up the business plan, day 5, whatever, it just keeps going through it. But he gives you, like, it's a whole book. So obviously it gives you very specific actions on each of those days. But yeah, it's super valuable. Okay. Yeah, and then later, if you end up actually creating a big business or a decent sized business, I have tons of other books for that stuff, but that's for another day.
Yeah.
But those 4 books though, and like the resources I was sending you, like that's how you get a business off the ground. Like literally, as long as you have a good product, whatever the product is or /service, all you need to do is market. If you can market and your product is good, then people will find you, right?
Yeah.
So that marketing course is super helpful.
Definitely gonna look at that.
Yeah, but like seriously, if you don't want to, if it's stuff like not wanting to work at Target, like if you want to do that fast enough, I only say because like my best friend, it works at UPS. He's worked there for like 13 years, and this guy has like 2 college degrees.
Wow.
Like there's no reason for him to do it. Like
Yeah.
he's just comfortable not doing anything, and it's like the most depressing thing. So whenever I hear someone who is in that situation and doesn't want to do it, I'm like, here's information, it's free, like take it. So that's the thing, like there's so much stuff out there, but some people just don't fucking know it exists. Like that, like the Tom Bilyeu show, the Impact Theory, the Tim Ferriss show, the Side Hustle School, all that stuff. Like that's the stuff that I tortured myself by listening to it every day while I was working at my engineering job that I hated for like 4 years, until eventually I just kept telling my boss he sucked until they fired me. Like, like literally, like it was like when I left, they're like, so we're going to have to let you go. I'm like, oh, thank God you guys had to do it. And they were so confused. They're like, this isn't negotiable. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm getting the hell out of here. and then they're like, well, I just want to let you know, like, why. So in case, when you're looking for another job. And I'm like, I'm not looking for another job. I got 2 businesses at home I got to go work on. I got to speed this up. Let me go grab my stuff and get out of here. Right. So like that's the type of thing. But like I did it for 4 years working on it. But that's the thing is if you don't, like I started off reading, I had 2 audiobooks that got me into physical books. I've now read like 95 books that are all nonfiction or business, psychology, self-help, self-development, philosophy, marketing, influence, social psychology, or behavioral economics. That's the other one, right? Stuff like that, because it's all do with marketing and business. But like, there's so many freaking books out there. There's tons of free resources. There's all those YouTube channels. Like if I could just share my list of YouTube subscribers or subscriptions, like it's ridiculous. Like they're all business, marketing stuff. I just torture myself with that. Which now it's funny because now ironically I need to dial it down so I actually spend time doing work.
Yeah.
I got all motivated. I got all the knowledge. Now I just need to do the work.
Yeah.
But if you're before that phase, then that's what you want to do. You want have somebody in your ear with a podcast all day just talking about business advice while you're moving boxes, right? It's like, why not have somebody, telling you, oh yeah, it turns out if you just do X, Y, and Z, you can get A, B, and C. And it's like, that's exactly what I want. How do I do it?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Anyways, I'm sure I tortured you guys to death with
No,
words.
that was a lot of very helpful stuff. Stuff we needed, honestly. So
Yeah, definitely. If you get stuck on anything else, you got my Facebook now. Feel free to shoot me a message. But definitely check out that course. If there's anything specifically you're interested in learning, let me know, because I might already know like the best course out there for it. And if you have no idea what you're interested in, you should go to a site called Creative Live, creativelive.com. They have like world-class, I spell that right? Yeah. They have like world-class teachers on there that you have to pay for the class. However, if you catch it while it's live, it's free.
Oh.
So for example, like I just signed up for like a ton of where the hell is it? That one? Nope, not that one.